I live in a world where, after the wars, there are barely any men left. Now, for every man, there are 5 women, and the government gives out wives for money. I'm a blind beggar, barely able to feed myself. But when the last girl fell to her knees in front of me and whispered,
"Please, take me. If you walk away, my father will kill me."
I couldn't take it anymore. I simply took her hand and walked away. That's how I got my first wife. And that was only the beginning. Guys, if you haven't seen the previous parts, you'll find the links in the description and the pinned comment. Now, let's get to the story. In the previous part, Yushir firmly declares that she wants to marry Qingxiu, despite his poverty and humble background. This causes conflict, as the family has already accepted a marriage proposal from the wealthy and prestigious Wang clan. The groom, Wang Jinghuai, is arrogant and tries to belittle Qingxiu while presenting himself as the perfect match. In response, Yushir calmly but confidently defends her choice, showing how deeply she respects Qingxiu. Yushir's father, Shirgu, goes against his strict father's wishes for the first time in his life. He says that his daughter deserves the right to choose her own path, even if it leads to mistakes. The elder Yen Silu, moved by his son's maturity and his granddaughter's resolve, finally yields. He officially hands over the right to decide to Shirgu, and for the first time, begins to consider passing on the role of family patriarch as well. "Master, this liangpi is truly delicious, and this pine needle water is simply a taste of heaven." Shan Xiao sat at the stall, holding a rolled liangpi in one hand and a bowl of pine needle water in the other, eyes half closed in enjoyment. Her master, Lu Yunyan, swallowed twice, stared at the liangpi in Shan Xiao's hand, gently lifted her veil, and sipped a mouthful of the pine needle water. Shan Xiao smiled and asked, "Master, the liangpi is delicious. Would you like to roll one too?" Lu Yunyan shook her head, looked around, and whispered, "A young lady should not lose her composure over some food. Xiao, remember that you are a girl. To eat with such gusto in public, what kind of proper behavior is that?" Shan Xiao wiped the corner of her mouth with a handkerchief and let out a full burp. "Master, he has investigated everything clearly. I'm full now, shall we go?" Lu Yunyan stood up, but did not leave. Just as Shan Xiao was puzzled, Lu Yunyan walked to the liangpi stall and tossed a few copper coins. "Granny, give me one rolled liangpi to take home." Shan Xiao's lips twitched and she burst into laughter. Lu Yunyan turned back, expressionless, glared at her for a moment, and soon they left together. Qingxiu went to the Chang'an wine shop once. To his astonishment, over 3,000 jin of high-proof liquor that had taken several days to distill sold out in just one morning. Business was more booming than tea. In the following days, he immersed himself in the brewery workshop, studying brewing. He already had some knowledge of winemaking, and recently his memory had surged, long-forgotten knowledge resurfaced, so he detailed and perfected the brewing process. About half a month later, he finally produced a high-proof liquor so smooth that even Qingxiu found it exceptionally palatable. Its alcohol content was around 50-some degrees. Su Xiaochun entered the brewery with a smile, found Qingxiu and asked directly, "Husband, how many jin is this batch?" Just now Ma Yukai from Longyu sent word saying he wants to order 5,000 jin. The wealthy merchant Wang Sangue from Luoyang sent silver to our home today. He wants to order 10,000 jin. Ma Yukai is a silk merchant from the Longyu region. A few days ago, he came to Chang'an to sell silk. After tasting the wine from Xinglong wine shop, he immediately smelled business opportunity. He first bought 1,000 jin to test the waters. The result, it sold out quickly. Almost no one came to buy silk anymore, they came to buy wine. As for Wang Sangue, a hemp cloth merchant from Luoyang, he also fell head over heels after drinking Xinglong wine shop's liquor at the 10 Fragrance Pavilion. He and Ma Yukai are acquaintances. He came to send money today to bring back a batch of liquor to Luoyang to sell. Wang Sangui's business is much larger. Ma Yukai sells silk, targeting wealthy clients. Poor people can't afford silk. Wang Sangue sells hemp cloth, serving the common folk. Because hemp cloth is cheap and sells in volume, his business is very broad. It said Wang Sangue came to Luoyang on pilgrimage. About 10 days ago, Li Er had already issued an order abolishing merchants' low-status registers, and began collecting double merchant taxes. Some merchants, grateful to be freed from low-status, self-organized merchant caravans to Chang'an to make pilgrimage. In recent days, everyday caravans arrive outside the imperial city, kowtowing before the palace, chanting, "His Majesty is sagacious." But some merchants worried that higher merchant taxes outweighed the joy of status liberation. Although freed from the low-status register, the tax burden remained heavy. But since the new tax decree was set in stone, they had no choice but to bear it. Still, most merchants were happy. They would rather earn a bit less than remain in low status. Not only merchants in the Tang realm self-organized pilgrimages to the imperial city, but more were common folk. Everyday crowds came outside the palace to kneel and worship. The imperial guard even thought refugees had rebelled and attacked Chang'an. Initially they were quite frightened. But later, the imperial guard got used to it. Apart from gratitude to Li Er, the commoners were most grateful to Qing Xiu. Because in Li Er's policy decree, the exemption of miscellaneous taxes was proposed by Lord Qing Xiu, Marquis of Lantian County. Every day many people came to Sanha village to express gratitude. Even if they couldn't meet him, they'd tighten their belts and spend at Sanha village's small stalls. This effectively increased the taxable revenue of Qing's fief. Li Er in recent days couldn't stop smiling, because after exempting various taxes, revenue didn't decrease, instead it rapidly grew. 70% came from merchant taxes. Merchants voluntarily paid merchant taxes, though some still cheated. Li Er was busy preparing to establish a new department solely to collect merchant taxes, and was overwhelmed. Qing Xiu tasted a sip of the new wine, smacked his lips. At last it succeeded. This batch is far superior to the previous ones. The process was more complex, and compared to common folks' low-class spirits, the taste is hundreds of times better. This is truly wine fit for humans. Xiaochun, go reply to Ma Yukai and Wang Sangue. Tell them our wine has been upgraded. The usual 1.5 guan wine is gone, from now on it will be 2.5 guan wine. As for how much silver they pay, they can set their own prices. Previously Ma Yukai bought the wine at 1.5 taels per jin and sold at 2 taels, earning half a tael per jin. After transport and cost, he could net over 400 copper coins per jin. Now the wine is upgraded, the taste elevated, far surpassing previous wine, so naturally the price must rise. Alcohol is essentially a beverage for the wealthy, ordinary households rarely drink it. After all, wine isn't cheap. The number of families who can afford wine isn't huge, but not small either. Husband, increasing the price 1 guan per jin, won't it go unsold? Su Xiaochun was worried. Qing Xiu shook his head, no. As long as the taste is good, even expensive wine sells. Moreover, I also plan to package a different high-end wine for 50 taels per jin. Su Xiaochun gasped, 50 taels per jin? Husband, why don't you go up the mountains and rob from bandits? That would be faster money and no capital. Qing Xiu tapped her head teasingly, is that how one talks about one's husband? If I became a bandit, you'd be the fortress wife. Su Xiaochun blushed softly, hugging his arm coquettishly, as long as I'm with you, whether bandit or native in the southern smoky malarial land, I'd have no regret. But 50 taels per jin wine, that's way too expensive. Qing Xiu explained, you don't understand. Some utterly wealthy people, having nowhere to spend, are almost losing hair over it. With our Xinglong shop's name established, we should launch some luxury goods. Not just wine, I also plan to package new teas, 10 guan per liang. Su Xiaochun silently gasped. Qing Xiu patted her pert hip and said, let's go. I'm going to see Wang Sangue. You reply to Ma Yukai. On their way home, Qing Xiu said, wife, you've trained so many female managers, don't try to do everything yourself anymore. You are now a month pregnant. Always being busy like this is quite dangerous. All right, husband, Su Xiaochun said happily, entwining her arm with his as they returned home. At their gate, there were over 10 horse carts, guarded by some 20-30 strong men. No doubt they were carrying silver. Su Xiaochun looked worried. Husband, with more than 10 carts of silver, our little storeroom can't hold it. Our boudoir's small strongbox is already full. What will we do? Qing Xiu also looked worried. The boudoir's small strongbox held a full 10,000 taels of gold, all earned recently. With the brewery, Qing Xiu dismantled the still in the sundry goods store to keep copper coins, but even that was nearly full. Actually, in the Tang most silver is rarely in circulation, it's only used for very large transactions. The market mainly uses Tongbao copper coins, whose copper content isn't very high. Although a cart of silver coins looks exaggerated, when converted to actual silver it's only a few hundred taels. Wang Sangue brought so many copper coins, they must have been earned by selling hemp cloth coin by coin. Collecting so many, where to put them? They couldn't build a warehouse just for storing silver, it would be too conspicuous. Then suddenly Qing Xiu had a flash of insight, 2 words, bank. Yes, why not start a bank? Holding back his idea of starting a bank, Qing Xiu stepped into the house. In the courtyard stood a middle-aged man, not tall, neither fat nor thin, slightly tanned, with squinting eyes and a face that practically screamed, I'm a shrewd businessman. He was curiously watching Li Tai writing and drawing on rice paper, math problems he definitely couldn't understand. Because Arabic numerals had not yet become widespread, Only Qing Xiu, Li Tai, Su Xiaochun, and the female slave managers they trained used Arabic numerals. When someone entered, Wang Sangue quickly came up, bowing and smiling flatteringly. "This little one greets Lord Qingho and the madam. The 15,000 guan of silver has already been delivered to your household. Lord Qingho, may I take 10,000 jin of Xinglong wine today?" Qing Xiu pointed at a small stool and said, "Sit down, let's talk." Wang Sangue sat down carefully, full of awe for this marquis he'd only met once before. As a top merchant from Luoyang, it was impossible that he didn't know about this young marquis, and he admired his methods greatly. Qing Xiu placed a gourd of wine on the table and said, "Old Wang, let's keep it short. This is the new version of Xinglong wine I've improved over half a month. I added several steps to the process, used more grain. The 1.5 taels per jin wine is no longer available." "This, what does that mean?" Wang Sangue was a little anxious. "Lord Qingho, didn't we agree before?" Qing Xiu rinsed a teacup, poured him some new wine and said, "Try it first. Let's talk after you've tasted it." Wang Sangue sniffed and immediately felt invigorated. He was rich and fond of drinking. Previously he drank Sanla wine. But ever since he had tried Xinglong wine, he discarded Sanla like a rag. When he saw peddlers selling it, he would just sneer. He could tell from the smell alone that this wine was much better than before. He sipped it, his eyes lit up, and he praised, "Good wine. Smoother than the old Xinglong wine. Not only does it have all 4 excellences, it has all 4 excellences." For a moment, he was speechless. Qing Xiu smiled and said, "This wine sells for 3 taels a jin in Chang'an. For wholesalers like you, 2.5 taels. As for your retail price, that's up to you. But a reminder, if your price is too high, folks from Luoyang might learn the difference and come to Chang'an to buy it. I suggest you don't go over 4 taels." Wang Sangue, a veteran businessman, certainly understood the benefits of setting his own price. He laughed and said, "Then it's settled. From now on, the wine and tea business depends on you, Lord Qingho. I brought 15,000 guan silver this time, please let me take 10,000 jin of wine first. I'll deliver the remaining 10,000 guan later. What do you say?" Qing Xiu nodded. "Write a receipt. I'll have someone load the wine for you later." Due to the brewery's expansion, 4 workshops brewed continuously, producing tens of thousands of jin every few days. After deducting costs, that still meant tens of thousands of taels in revenue. And that was just a few days' income. Over a month, it would be hundreds of thousands, nearly matching Li Air's annual tax revenue from last year. That's the power of merchants. You can't squeeze much money from commoners. "But," Qing Xiu frowned, "Old Wang, you take the wine, but also take your silver. From now on, no more copper coins. I have nowhere to store them. From now on, use gold or silver ingots." Wang Sangue smiled bitterly. "Lord, this silver came 1 coin at a time from the people. It may be scattered, but the total is exact. You can be sure of that." Qing Xiu shook his head and said, "Do you think I care about a few missing coins? I really have no place to store it. From now on, only gold. Or we stop doing business." Wang Sangue turned serious and quickly said, "As you wish, Lord. I'll take the money back and bring you gold instead." Qing Xiu arranged for Xuanzi to lead a team to load the wine and had Ling Tai handle the accounting. When Su Xiaochun was too busy, Ling Tai helped with bookkeeping. The boy was a true math genius, a top student, one might say. No matter what math-related knowledge Qing Xiu taught him, he quickly understood it and could even offer ideas of his own. In the past half-month, due to manpower needs, Qing Xiu had expanded his household guard from 50 to 300 men. The new 150 recruits all knew each other, retired soldiers from nearby villages. The youngest were about 16 or 17, the oldest around 40. Land outside the village had become hardened like steel from daily drills. Even hoes couldn't dig it. Ling Tai trained every morning and studied the rest of the time. Now there was not an ounce of fat on him, he was full of energy and much more handsome. That's what losing weight does. The village school was already built. Qing Xiu hired a dozen teachers, using textbooks he compiled, to give children a basic education. Though expensive, school was free for village kids. Because they could study for free, the children worked hard and cherished this rare chance. Villagers often sent gifts to the Qing family, wild greens, eggs, mountain goods, as thanks. Letting their kids study for free was a huge favor. In this era where knowledge was controlled by noble clans, reading books was a family honor. Textbooks were shared for now, but soon every family would have them. Some kids even recited, "At the beginning of man, nature is kind," late into the night. Some who didn't memorize well got chased and beaten with sticks by parents. You could hear crying at night. Even kids from other villages came to eavesdrop. Over 100 of them came daily. Because of that, Qing Xiu discussed expanding the land with Ling Taicheng. The nearby land all belonged to his fief, he could build freely. More schools would cost him next to nothing. Not only was the school system improved, even the village clinic opened, with a dozen doctors offering free consultations, but you had to buy your own medicine. Just free medical checks made people grateful. The villagers deeply appreciated Qing Xiu and his wife. His reputation was no longer high, it was terrifying. If anyone dared speak ill of him, they would get beaten and paraded with a guilt sign. This had already happened a few times. Qing Xiu couldn't stop it, even when he spoke, people didn't listen, so he had to accept this bad custom. Lord, another caravan is coming, 5 carts. After sending off Wang Sangue, Xuanzi rushed in, leading them is a very young, good-looking fellow. He says his name is Lin Fei and wants to buy tea. Should I let him in? Lin Fei? Qing Xiu thought of a face and smiled. Lin Fei was that girl dressed as a man who said she was going to Jiangnan to sell tea more than 10 days ago. Lin Fei couldn't be described as having a face like a painting, but she certainly wasn't ugly. On the contrary, she was especially beautiful. Her skin was pale as snow, delicate and smooth, her eyebrows arched like willow leaves, and her almond-shaped eyes sparkled like spring water. She was dressed the same as last time, in luxurious silver brocade clothes, styled like a noble young man from an aristocratic family. This time, she wasn't alone. She followed behind a middle-aged man. The man was dignified and elegant, and in terms of appearance, shared some similarities with Lin Fei. From an animated style point of view, Qing Xiu was sure they were father and daughter. Seeing Qing Xiu, Lin Fei smiled and bowed slightly. Lin greets Lord Qingho. It has been more than 20 days since we last met, but every day I hear people talking about you in the markets. Truly admirable. The middle-aged man sized up Qing Xiu carefully, then respectfully bowed and said, Lin Han, a merchant from Jiangnan, greets the Marquis of Lantian County. Lin Fei added, Lord Qingho, this is my father. Qing Xiu did not stand up, but nodded slightly and gestured, Mr. Lin, young Master Lin, please sit. Courtesy depends on rank. He was nobility, top-tier nobility, and unless the other party had high virtue or equal status, he didn't need to stand. Qing Xiu poured 2 cups of tea and pushed them over, which amazed Lin Han and Lin Fei. A blind man could act so normally, it was quite astonishing. Lin Han and Lin Fei sat down. Lin Fei casually took a sip of tea, but Lin Han frowned and gently nudged her. Only then did she set the cup down and stick out her tongue. Her tongue was pink and tender, tempting to taste. Lin Han cupped his hands and smiled. My son mentioned Lord Qingho and the tea business in his letters. I heard it's a great opportunity, so I brought all the silver from home and came with my family to request a batch of tea. Qing Xiu replied, I've already discussed this with young Master Lin. 2 types of tea, one at 8 taels per jin, the other at 4 taels. What is your plan? Lin Han's eyes turned slightly and he said, Lord Qingho, my son never did business before, so I hope you won't laugh. I didn't come just for a one-time deal. I hope this tea business will continue long-term. My family deals in silk and cloth in Jiangnan and has some connections there. Jiangnan is wealthy, with countless merchants. There are too many competitors in cloth and silk. Frankly, I want to give it up and switch to tea. That's why I came all the way to Chang'an to speak with you in person. Qing Xiu said with surprise, switching business lines isn't easy. Are you sure about this? Lin Han sighed bitterly, Lord Qingho, the cloth trade in Jiangnan is overcrowded. Prices keep dropping. Even though the Lin family is one of the top merchants, business is hard. The Lu family has suppressed us. The new governor of Yuezhou, Ning Chun, is related to them. Officials often come to check our shops. Business is fading. Qing Xiu nodded repeatedly. In remote areas, local officials colluding with merchants was not unusual. Lin Han took another sip of tea and continued, while our shops still stand, I want to switch from cloth to tea. My son said this tea is profitable, so I brought all our silver to bet everything on it. But Lord Qingho, the prices of 8 taels and 4 taels per jin are a bit high. Could you, considering my sincerity, offer a little discount? He watched Qing Xiu nervously. Even Lin Fei held her breath. Qing Xiu frowned, Mr. Lin, we've already negotiated. Business is business. Though I'm nobility, I am also a merchant. Merchants seek profit. How could I give you a discount just because you're sincere? That's against the nature of business. Lin Han's face turned bitter. At the end of the Sui dynasty, the Lin family was the top cloth merchant in Jiangnan. Wars made things difficult. Now the world is stable, and business was just starting to recover. But the Lu family appeared and took away our business. In just a few years, with the help of Governor Ning, they've cut over 30% of our business. At this rate, we'll soon collapse. I have no way to vent my frustration. I can only watch our business be eaten away. Lord Qingho, I ask you to give us a little help. When we recover, I will repay every bit, with an additional 20% interest. What do you say? He looked at Qing Xiu again, tense. Qing Xiu chuckled, empty words mean nothing. Why should I trust you? You say the Lu family and the governor are working together, how will you beat them? And how do you plan to crush them? The tea has a set price, buy it or don't. Others are waiting to buy. With that, he finished his tea and flipped the cup, a clear sign to leave. Lin Han said helplessly, Lord Qingho, the silver has already bin delivered. It would be unreasonable to take it back. Let's proceed with the prices you offered. Qing Xiu turned the cup upright and asked, how much silver did you bring? Lin Fei quickly said, my father brought 180,000 taels of silver. Even Qing Xiu took a deep breath, that was truly a large sum. You're buying tea with all of it? Lin Han nodded, yes, all for tea. Qing Xiu frowned, Mr. Lin, this is not a smart way to do business. If something goes wrong during transport, like heavy rain, all the tea could be ruined. Lin Han nodded sadly, I know. But I have no other choice. You wouldn't understand our family's situation. Qing Xiu nodded, very well. I'll say no more. I'll have the silver counted and on top of your order, I'll give you an extra 500 jin of each tea. A gift to wish you good fortune. Lin Han and Lin Fei were overjoyed. Thank you, Lord Qingho. An extra 500 jin of each was a generous profit, thousands of taels worth. 2 of the 5 carts were filled with gold, and the other 3 held silver ingots. Qing Xiu gave them 15,500 jin of yuguanin and 15,500 jin of biluakan tea. The carts were so heavy the horses struggled to move them. Watching them leave, Qing Xiu prayed silently, please don't rain in the next half-month. If it rained, the Lin family would be ruined. After they left, Lin Fei frowned and asked, Father, why did you make things sound so tragic at Qingho's house? Lin Han smiled, how else do you think we got that extra 1,000 jin of tea? Fei, in business, sometimes you have to exaggerate or even play the victim. I spoke the truth, just stretched it a bit. If talking earns us thousands of taels, why not? Lin Fei turned away and pursed her lips, feeling her father's methods were a bit shameless. After a long silence, she asked, Father, when are we going back to Jiangnan? Lin Han shook his head, no rush. Your mother and brother haven't been to Chang'an. They want to sightsee. We'll stay a few more days. All right. So how do we price this tea? As she spoke, she let down her hair, it flowed like a waterfall, and her beauty increased severalfold. Lin Han squinted and smiled, biluakan, 10 taels per jin. Yuguanin, 30 taels. Lin Fei was shocked, Father, isn't that too expensive? Lin Han smirked, not at all. This pricing ensures good profit. This tea hasn't spread in Jiangnan. We'll be the first. Lin Fei looked concerned, but what if another merchant starts selling tea, and buyers protest over our high prices? Wouldn't we have to lower the price? Lin Han's eyes gleamed as he said, let's first see how well it sells. If tea in Jiangnan is as popular as in Chang'an, we'll try to get exclusive rights from Qingho. Lin Fei opened her mouth but then smiled sweetly, Father, you're smart. Once they secured exclusive rights in Jiangnan, their pricing would be justified. It would be the only supply, buy it or don't. If someone wanted tea, it wasn't like they could travel all the way to Chang'an. Li Tai finished recording the account and returned. Teacher, the accounts are all settled. Li Tai placed a bill on the table and was about to continue studying math problems. Qing Xiu said, Qingke, we won't be working on math today. I'll teach you something else. Li Tai's eyes lit up with curiosity. Teacher, what will you teach me? Instead of answering directly, Qing Xiu asked, Qingke, when merchants make transactions and bring back 10 or more carts of silver each time, do you think that's convenient? Li Tai shook his head, not at all. Qing Xiu continued, have you thought about replacing silver with something simpler in transactions? For example, a sheet of paper. Li Tai's jaw dropped in shock. Teacher, how can a piece of paper replace a transaction of 100,000 taels of silver? At that moment, Su Xiaochun returned and smiled quietly as she passed by. Li Tai stood up, greetings, madam. Su Xiaochun replied, Qingke, your teacher is going to pass down important knowledge today. You must learn it well. After that, she went off to chat with Yunyang. Besides managing business, Su Xiaochun also sought advice from Yunyang on bedroom techniques. Since that night, the 3 of them sleeping on one bed had become a habit. A family must stay united. At first, during intimate moments with Yunyang, they were very reserved. Yunyang's moans were also subdued. But over time, she opened up and no longer held back. Her skills in the bedroom amazed Su Xiaochun, who often sought guidance from her the next day. In recent days, Su Xiaochun also joined in a few times. Although she didn't take the lead, she enthusiastically called out slogans. With Yunyang's coaching, Su Xiaochun became very skilled in this, even better than Yunyang. It could be said that she was trying harder because she feared losing favor with her husband. Teacher, how do you plan to proceed? Li Tai asked curiously. Qingxiu said, now that papermaking and movable type printing have matured, I plan to open a bank. Teacher, what is a bank? Li Tai asked, puzzled. Qingxiu smiled and explained, simply put, it's an institution that manages money. For example, if a Jiangnan merchant wants to trade in Chang'an, he can deposit money into a bank in Jiangnan. The bank issues a banknote equal to the deposit. The merchant only needs to carry the note and exchange it for the same amount of money in Chang'an. Li Tai was stunned. Teacher, you're amazing. How can you even come up with such ideas? But, he hesitated. The bank can't operate for free, right? Qingxiu praised him, smart. Of course, we charge a service fee, 0.5%. With so many merchants trading across Tang, if someone transacts 10,000 guan, we collect 500 as fees. The more they trade, the more we earn, it's a steady income. Li Tai's eyes lit up. Teacher, I agree. Just today's tea and wine trades amounted to 200,000 guan. Merchants trade so much across Tang. A bank will generate huge income. But, Li Tai frowned. Isn't 0.5% too high? What if no one uses the bank? Qingxiu shook his head. Think, from Jiangnan to Chang'an is over 1,000 li. Transporting carts of silver needs dozens, even hundreds of escorts. The journey takes at least half a month. During that time, you must cover lodging, food, and other costs. If they use banks, merchants save time and money. Li Tai thought carefully, then nodded excitedly. Teacher, your plan is perfect. It's hard not to make money. Qingxiu added, we can also offer storage services. For a small fee, we keep their valuables safe, another income stream. Li Tai's eyes gleamed. Teacher, when will we open the bank? Qingxiu replied, the sooner, the better. Qingke, your father's an official with wide connections. Talk to him, we'll run the bank together. I'll provide the technical side, he'll promote it. Opening it won't be hard. Li Tai stood up. Teacher, I'll go to Chang'an now and talk to my father. Wait, don't rush, Qingxiu pulled him back. It's best if you control the bank's management. Also, we need to design anti-counterfeiting marks. Otherwise, fake banknotes would be a problem. Teacher, what are anti-counterfeiting marks? Qingxiu lowered his voice. For example, I'll teach you some simple numbers. He explained for a long time before Li Tai understood the purpose and methods of anti-counterfeiting. Then he left with his guards for Chang'an. When Li Tai entered the Ganlu Hall, besides Li Er, there was Zhang Sun Wuji. Zhang Sun was kneeling before Li Er, complaining bitterly, Your Majesty, I rely on the steel business to feed my family. You've taken away our steel supply. How will my family survive? Li Er replied helplessly, Fuji, the Baolian steel method must be under my control, it concerns the state. I've assigned you the weaving bureau business. Though it's not as profitable, it's enough to support your family. The Royal Weaving Bureau made cloth and silk for the royal family and rewards. Zhang Sun Wuji grimaced. Supplying steel earned thousands of guan monthly. Now, I've managed the weaving bureau for over half a month and earned just a few hundred. That's a huge gap. Li Er smiled bitterly. I've allocated 1,000 guan monthly from the treasury to support your family. Forget the steel business. If I find a new opportunity, I'll consider your family first. What do you say? Before Zhang Sun could speak, Wang De entered and announced, Your Majesty, Prince Wei requests an audience. Li Er brightened. Qingxiu is here? Let him in quickly, it's been over half a month. I even dreamed about him last night. Li Er doted heavily on Li Tai. Since he became the disciple of a great teacher, Li Er cared even more. Whatever Li Tai wanted from the palace, he always came first. This caused envy among the other princes, especially Crown Prince Li Chengqian. Seeing Li Tai again, Li Er almost didn't recognize him. He had gotten much fairer, thanks to guards shading him while running, and much slimmer. But since he knew about Li Tai's determination to lose weight, he didn't mention it. He grabbed Li Tai's hand happily and asked, Qingke, how are your studies with Mr. Qing? Li Tai nodded, very good. Teacher teaches me everything without holding back. Today, he even taught me something that can benefit the whole empire. He glanced at Zhang Sun Wuji, slightly hesitant. Li Er was too excited to notice, and asked eagerly, Oh? Then tell me, what did he teach? Li Tai thought for a moment. Since the teacher didn't say he couldn't share it with Zhang Sun, he briefly explained the bank idea. Afterward, Li Er was stunned. Zhang Sun Wuji also looked shocked, his expression complicated and regretful. If he hadn't fallen out with Qingxiu in the peach forest, He could have gotten involved in this business through his daughter, Zhang Sun Pingting. From any angle, a bank would be an insanely profitable venture. How could Zhang Sun Wuji not be tempted? His eyes turned red with envy. The terms anti-counterfeit marks and storage services left both Li Er and Zhang Sun Wuji stunned. After snapping out of his shock, Li Er became excited. He slapped his thigh and laughed. Wonderful. Excellent. With this, not only do merchants no longer need to haul carts of silver for transactions, but we can also earn considerable income. Master Qing's bank concept is simply brilliant. Zhang Sun Wuji forced a smile. Indeed, brilliant. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to come up with something like this. Wait. Li Er suddenly frowned and said, Qingke, such a profitable business, shouldn't Master Qing be running it himself? Why would he tell you? Li Tai smiled. Father, you don't know him. From what I understand, Master Qing is rather laid back. He only wants to run businesses that are easy and profitable. A bank, while profitable, is troublesome and requires major effort to set up. Master Qing said since you're in power, he'll offer technical support, and you'll handle the promotion. That way, setting up the bank will be easier. Li Er grinned. Master Qing sure knows how to make a smart deal, toss out an idea and then wash his hands of it. Li Tai shook his head. Father, that's not right. Without Master Qing's concept, I'd never think of such a way to make money. Li Er nodded. True. Not just you, I wouldn't have thought of it either. This not only makes money but also solves a huge problem for merchants. It's a great public service. But, Li Er narrowed his eyes. Qingke, your father has spotted a fatal flaw in this banking idea. Please explain, father. Li Er said, if money is deposited in Jiangnan and withdrawn in Chang'an, how does the Chang'an bank know that the merchant really deposited money in Jiangnan? You can't expect someone to be sent from Jiangnan to notify every time a deposit is made. Li Tai smiled. Master Qing thought of that too. The solution is simple. How? Li Er asked curiously. Li Tai answered confidently, issue silver notes in set amounts, 100 taels, 500 taels, 1,000 taels, 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. Each note comes in 2 copies, just like a tiger tally. One is stored in Chang'an, one in Jiangnan. Once a merchant deposits money in Jiangnan, he gets 1 copy and brings it to Chang'an. As long as the 2 notes match, the money can be withdrawn. Li Er asked, what if someone inside the bank fakes the notes and steals money? Li Tai shook his head. That won't happen. As long as we design good anti-counterfeit measures and tightly manage the staff, we can prevent that. Zhang Sun Wuji frowned. Your Majesty, banking isn't child's play. If something goes wrong, it could be catastrophic. Fixing it afterward would be too late. Li Tai asked, confused, Uncle, the bank serves the state and the people. It only needs one person in charge. With clear responsibilities, how can anything go wrong? Dragging carts of copper for trade has gone on for thousands of years. If we want the Tang to last forever, we must reform. Keep the strengths, fix the weaknesses, and patch the holes. Right, father? Li Er's eyes lit up. He looked Li Tai up and down and nodded. Qingke, you've really grown. A few months ago, you wouldn't have said such things. Li Tai said proudly, I learned it all from Master Qing. Li Er nodded. The bank is feasible. But how will you implement it? Li Tai grinned. Father, no need to worry. Just leave the bank to me. Once it's running, I can keep sending silver into the treasury. Li Er worried, Qingke, but you're not even 9. Can you handle setting up a bank? I'm not alone. With Master Qing's guidance, setting it up isn't hard. I just need your approval and enough support. All right. Li Er nodded. It's settled. The bank will be your responsibility. Whatever you need, just tell me. I'll do my best to provide it. Thank you, father. Afterward, the two talked for a long time. It wasn't until afternoon that their discussion ended. Zhang Sun Wuji, after catching a free meal at the palace, returned to his mansion full of worry. Back in his study, he summoned a servant. You called, master? Go fetch Mississippi. The servant obeyed, and soon Zhang Sun Pingting arrived. In the past half-month, Zhang Sun Pingting had quieted her lively personality. Most of the time, she sat dazed in the garden pavilion, full of worries and sighs. Qing Xiu's face often appeared in her mind. As a father, how could Zhang Sun Wuji not know the reason? Father, did you call for me? She sounded respectful, but her tone carried suppressed resentment. Trying to break up a couple only intensifies their bond. She hadn't openly rebelled, but over the past half-month, her feelings for Qing Xiu had deepened into a kind of obsession. Zhang Sun Wuji looked stern. Still upset because I forbade you from seeing Qing Xiu? Pingting lowered her head. I wouldn't dare. As your daughter, how could I disobey? Zhang Sun Wuji sighed. I can tell you haven't given up. I also hear the resentment in your voice. I brought you here to talk about Qingxiu. Pingting weakly said, what is there to talk about? Zhang Sun Wuji coughed twice, lowered his voice. I won't oppose your relationship anymore. What? Pingting couldn't believe her ears. Was that really coming from her father? No way. Her face was full of disbelief. Father, what do you want from Master Qing this time? Zhang Sun Wuji's old face turned red with a hint of anger. What are you saying? Isn't it because I care about you, seeing you so down that I decided to say this? Pingting tilted her head at him, as if to say, go on, keep making it up. Smack. Zhang Sun Wuji slammed the table. What kind of look is that? Is that how a daughter looks at her father? Pingting withdrew her disdainful gaze and lowered her head in fear. After all, he was her father. He could beat her for any reason. A little resistance was fine, but open defiance would not end well. Zhang Sun Wuji snorted, sipped tea, and said, this time, I really have no ulterior motive. I just don't want to see you miserable over that blind man. If you want to be with him, so be it. I won't interfere. Pingting was shocked. Really, father? Zhang Sun Wuji nodded. Yes, really. If Master Qing also likes me, and I become his concubine, you won't mind? Zhang Sun Wuji's face darkened. He gritted his teeth. That brat's lucky. Pingting cried tears of joy. Father, you're too kind. Zhang Sun Wuji scolded with a smile. All right. Just a minute ago you were giving your father dirty looks. Her face turned red, and she wiped her tears with her sleeve. Zhang Sun Wuji waved her off impatiently. Go on, let me have some peace. Only after she left did his face relax. Now that he knew about the bank, he realized it was a massive moneymaker. That blind man handed the whole business to Qingke just because he was his student. If his daughter became Qingxiu's woman, maybe in the future he could get involved in something even more profitable than a bank. Realizing this, Zhang Sun Wuji smiled. Zhang Sun Pingting was in a great mood. Early the next morning, she got on a carriage and rushed to Sanha village. With her father's support, she felt much more at ease. Now the only thing left was to confirm whether Master Qing also liked her. It would be even better if she could leave a good impression with the main wife and the concubine. Along the way, she was anxious and uneasy, worried that she wouldn't be welcomed. Before leaving Chang'an, she even went to the Eastern market to carefully select 2 exquisite hairpins as meeting gifts for the main wife and the concubine. Because of the banking project, Ling Tai would likely be staying in Chang'an for some time to study the structure and anti-counterfeit features of silver notes. Qingxiu, on the other hand, was finally enjoying some leisure time, tending his vegetable garden. He sat on a small stool, holding a purple clay teapot, drinking tea while loosening the soil with a small hoe. The potatoes had been planted for 2 months. In another month, they could be harvested. Qingxiu was looking forward to it. Luckily, when he crossed over, he had brought a few potatoes with him. Otherwise, he would have had to cross the ocean to find them again. This saved a lot of effort. But sweet potatoes were more troublesome. They took twice as long as regular potatoes, nearly 70 days to ripen. Corn and peanuts had a growth period of about 4 months. In 2 months, they'd also be ready for harvest. What excited Qingxiu most was the first chili plant. It only needed just over 2 months to grow from sprouting to ripeness. The chilies had already been growing for over 2 months. Though the season wasn't quite right, the plant was full of red and green peppers. The chilies were over 10 centimeters long. With good sunlight, they'd be ready to pick in just over 10 days. Qingxiu roughly calculated that this chili plant would yield about 10 gen of peppers. If all the harvested chilies were used as seeds, he could grow 2 more seasons this year. He had brought only a small pouch with a dozen chili peppers when he crossed over. A dozen became 10 gen. Planting all of that could yield several hundred gen. Replanting that would yield a massive crop. In just 1 year, chili peppers could become a common foodstuff. Earlier, Wang Sangue had sent over more than 100 gen of gold. Su Xiaochun and Yunyang were worried about where to store it. The small safe in the main bedroom was full. They didn't feel safe just leaving it in the room. So they decided to dig a new vault in the small room where Yunyang used to live. They took action immediately. The 2 of them directed a few servants and began digging a hole inside the room. Plus the 180,000 taels of silver delivered by Lin Han the day before, the total amount of gold and silver in the house was several thousand gen. Even if Qingxiu's family did nothing else and wasted money every day, they might still not finish spending it all in their lifetime. Ha ha ha, Qing boy, what are you up to? Li Yuan's hearty laughter came from outside as he strutted into the yard with a swagger. Li Yuan also held a purple clay teapot, sipping tea from time to time. Qingxiu ignored him, but Li Yuan wasn't offended. He strolled over to the small garden with a smile. Surprised, he touched the corn stalks that were nearly waist-high and exclaimed, "Ching boy, your crops are growing fast. Just a few days ago, they were up to my knees, and now, only 6 or 7 days later, they're almost at my waist. By the way, what kind of crop is this? The stalks are so thick, the grain must be something special." Qing Xiu smiled mysteriously. "This is called corn." "Corn?" Li Yuan's eyes widened. He leaned in nervously and whispered, "Grain made from jade?" Qing Xiu was speechless. Li Yuan exclaimed, "No way, if it's called corn, the grain must be related to jade." Qing Xiu rolled his eyes. Fine. If you say it grows jade, then it grows jade." Li Yuan muttered, "I don't know. Just tell me, what does corn look like?" Qing Xiu gestured, about the size of a 3-year-old child's forearm. When you peel off the outer layer, the inside is filled with golden, shiny kernels, clear and translucent like Hetian jade, hence the name corn. PSSH. Li Yuan gasped, "I haven't read books, but don't you lie to me." He learned that from Qing Xiu. Once, Qing Xiu had said, "I haven't read books, don't lie to me," and Li Yuan picked up the phrase. Qing Xiu smiled longingly. "Why would I lie? Peel off the kernels, dry them, grind them into powder, and you can make corn porridge, very fragrant and sweet. You can also boil it whole. The taste is amazing." Li Yuan swallowed hard, eyes full of anticipation. "Then once your corn ripens, don't forget about me." "Don't worry, I won't forget old Li." "But," Qing Xiu changed the subject, "corn is tasty, but it's seed grain. Just try a little, don't waste it. Once we grow it on a larger scale, it'll become a staple food." Li Yuan nodded seriously. He then spotted the red and green chilies and his eyes lit up. "Qing boy, what are those red and green finger-sized fruits? Their shiny skins look like a delicacy." Qing Xiu wiped his mouth. "Don't talk about it, just thinking about it makes my mouth water. They're called chili peppers. My favorite food. Once they turn completely red, they're ready to eat. You can stir-fry with them, stew with them, or crush them into paste." He had always liked spicy food, and after several months in the Tang dynasty, he hadn't eaten any chilies. Thinking of chili sauce made his mouth water. Li Yuan's eyes sparkled. He thought, once they're red, they can be eaten. There were so many red ones already. Could they be ripe? He glanced at Qing Xiu. The guy was blind, he wouldn't notice if one chili went missing, right? Thinking this, Li Yuan sneakily picked a red chili. He turned his back and bit into it. Qing Xiu watched with a harmless smile. "Wait, something's wrong." Li Yuan's eyes bulged, his face turned red rapidly, his whole head looked swollen. And he looked terrified. He threw the chili to the ground, panting and shivering. "Qing boy, you poison me? Ha 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 ha." Qing Xiu slapped his thigh and burst out laughing. Li Yuan lunged forward, grabbed Qing Xiu by the collar, eyes wide with rage. "Brat. You tried to poison me. Give me the antidote, now." Qing Xiu pried his hand off and said, "Look how scared you are. It's not poison. I told you it's chili. If it's not spicy, what is it? Just drink more water, you'll be fine soon." Li Yuan thought about it. Qing Xiu really had no reason to poison him. So he started drinking tea, drooling and sticking out his tongue, jumping around as the chili's heat kicked in. It took a long while before he felt less spicy. He looked at Qing Xiu with a pitiful gaze, then angrily kicked over his stool, fuming, "Qing boy. You're evil. You tricked me into eating that chili." Qing Xiu looked disgusted. "You were greedy. Did I make you eat it? I didn't force you, right?" Li Yuan grunted and stayed silent, then frowned. "Brat, why grow this thing? It's so spicy, how can people eat it?" Qing Xiu said innocently, "I never said it was a meal. It's a seasoning. If you don't eat chili, who should? Once I make chili sauce in a few days, you'll understand what true deliciousness is." "No thanks. If I eat another chili, I'll take your surname." Li Yuan's head shook like a rattle drum, he had developed a psychological trauma. But Qing Xiu didn't believe a word of it. Xuanzi reported upon entering, "Marquis, Lady Zhangsun Pingting has arrived." Qing Xiu looked puzzled, he couldn't understand why Zhangsun Pingting would come to his home. Over half a month ago, Zhangsun Wuji had told her not to contact him anymore. Su Xiaochun's expression turned sour at the name, she even looked fierce. Why did she come? She had learned from Ling Lizhu that it was Zhangsun Pingting who had left whip marks on her husband's shoulders. Although the other party had apologized sincerely, Su Xiaochun still disliked this arrogant young lady deeply. Ling Yuan, observing the vegetable patch, changed expression and muttered in his heart, "If a girl from the Zhangsun family shows up, won't my real identity be exposed?" "Marquis, shall we let her in?" Xuanzi asked. Before Qing Xiu could speak, Su Xiaochun headed straight to the gate, muttering, "I want to see what Miss Zhangsuan's purpose is coming here. Could it be she didn't beat my husband enough last time? Qing Xiu reluctantly reminded, wife, she already apologized. And you're pregnant, don't exhaust yourself, it's not good for the child. Su Xiaochun paused, then turned with a sweet smile, understood, husband. I won't get mad. Qing Xiu, worried, followed her outside. As soon as she stepped out, Su Xiaochun saw a girl of only 15 standing on the steps. She was delicately beautiful. Su Xiaochun addressed her without expression, Miss Zhang Sun, you're here at my home, what business do you have? Pingting felt guilty. Confronted with Su Xiaochun's strong presence, her heart thumped. She bowed and said, Lady Su, I'm here to visit you. Su Xiaochun was stunned. Visit her? Shouldn't it be visiting her husband? Pingting spoke sincerely, Madam, you heard right. I came to apologize to you. At the Lotus Garden, I misunderstood Master Qing and have since apologized. He has forgiven me, but I haven't yet gained your forgiveness. I feel uneasy, so I came to express my remorse. These small gifts are tokens of my respect, please accept them. She handed over 2 sandalwood boxes. Su Xiaochun stepped back, wary. Giving gifts without purpose, either you're plotting or you're up to something. We have no relationship. Why gift me? Pingting hesitated, then brightened, in Fu Rong Garden, I wronged Master Qing and apologized. Though he's forgiven me, I haven't yet gained your goodwill. So I came specially to apologize. These are minor gifts, please accept them. Su Xiaochun shook her head, no need. Since you came to apologize, apology accepted, please leave. Pingting was flustered and on the verge of tears, feeling deeply wronged. Qing Xiu emerged behind the gate, enough, dear wife, don't make it hard on a young lady. She came to apologize at the gate, and resolving feud is better than deepening it. Please accept the gifts. Su Xiaochun snorted, haven't you heard of women's fragile pride? I'm the lady. Generosity is your men's domain, don't forget how wronged you were. She lightly tapped Qing Xiu's shoulder, he couldn't see her eye rolling. Qing Xiu supported her and smiled, all right, don't be angry. Zhang Sun family is a royal clan. She came all the way just to apologize, showing sincerity. Have you ever seen a duchess's daughter proactively apologize to others? If you won't accept the gifts, fine. But she came over 30 li just to visit. If we don't host her, that reflects badly on us. People might say we're petty. Su Xiaochun nodded, you're right. No gifts then, please invite Miss Zhang Sun inside. Pingting relaxed slightly, though she pouted, angry about being slighted. She thought, I'm 1,000 gold lady, I shouldn't be lowered like this. But if I want a meal here, I must swallow pride. Eh? Su Xiaochun looked at the empty courtyard, Yunyang, where's old Li? Yunyang covered a laugh, Master Li said he had a stomachache, he went to the privy. Qing Xiu twisted his lips, old Li was probably afraid his identity might be exposed, so he made an excuse to hide and maybe sneak away. Better not let him fall in the process. Quietly he said, wife, Yunyang, please host Miss Zhang Sun. I'll check on old Li in the privy and see if we need a doctor. Su Xiaochun shrugged, old man went to the bathroom, what's to worry? But Qing Xiu left with his blind cane to the latrine. He was truly worried old Li might climb the 2-meter wall and fall. Old Li. Qing Xiu softly called. Li Yuan turned, brat. You peek even when I'm using the bathroom. He immediately regretted it, how could Qing Xiu tell? He couldn't see. Qing Xiu sneered, don't make excuses. Just say you climbed the wall. Saying you had a stomachache is laughable. Li Yuan's face turned red with embarrassment, yet annoyed, how did you know I climbed the wall? Qing Xiu sighed, old Li, we're friends. If you really fell from my wall and got injured, wouldn't your royal descendants come after me? Li Yuan sniffed, you say that but it's not a joke. Have you thought how you'll deal with the late emperor and his majesty? Qing Xiu tut-tutted seriously, if we don't expose that layer, we remain good friends. If exposed, so what? Royals shouldn't be that cold. Li Yuan patted his backside and laughed, well put. Didn't expect the old man to be less tolerant. Fine. From now on I'm still old Li, you're little Qing. Let's understand each other tacitly. Be clear with your wife. Qing Xiu rolled his eyes, we live together every day, do you think I'd hide it from them? Li Yuan chuckled, they already know? Long ago. We all just agreed not to say. Li Yuan grumbled, knew that? Why didn't you say so? I climbed the wall for nothing, sigh, I'm really old. Let's go. Stop sniffing around. Qing Xiu and Li Yuan exited the privy. When Pingting saw Li Yuan, she was startled and rushed to bow, Miss Pingting greets the retiring emperor. Li Yuan waved casually, no need for formality. If you're at Sanha village, don't call me retiring emperor. Like Li Zhu, just call me grandpa. Pingting hesitated but nodded. Su Xiaochun smiled faintly, didn't speak, silence was best at that moment. Qing Xiu sat down and asked, Miss Pingting, didn't your father say you shouldn't associate with me? You came to the village to see me, won't he ground you if he finds out? Pingting's face blushed. She glanced at Su Xiaochun and Yunyang before quietly saying, Father said, he won't stop me anymore. Let me spend time with you. Spend time freely? Yunyang felt unaffected, but Su Xiaochun's eyes narrowed in vigilance. Pingting loved her husband, and a daughter of a duke lowering herself, she must have no good intentions. It turned out the fox giving the chicken a New Year gift had ill intent. Su Xiaochun guessed that the real reason Zhangsun Pingting came here was to make herself familiar, build connections, and possibly use the opportunity to curry favor with her husband and climb up. She immediately gave a cold snort, her tone sarcastic. This is indeed a rare thing. Lord Zhangsun is a duke, and Miss Zhangsuan's aunt is the empress herself. Such noble status, how could a humble family like ours casually interact with a royal clan? As the saying goes, marriages should be between equals. Even if these two families associate, their statuses must match. Miss Zhangsuan's talk of casual interaction is unnecessary. My small household cannot accommodate the lofty presence of your Zhangsun family. Zhangsun Pingting's face turned red with anger, her body trembled, but she said nothing offensive to the Zhangsun family. Every word she spoke elevated their status, and she dared not argue. For a moment, her eyes brimmed with tears, and she felt a burst of urge to cry. Li Yuan, sitting in the vegetable garden, glanced at Pingting's retreating figure and squinted his eyes with a small smile. He was shrewd and had served as emperor several times before. He understood people well. Clearly, Pingting meant that she planned to dine at the Qing household forever. Li Yuan rolled his lips. Before the royal family made any move, the Zhangsun family was already anxious. He knew Zhangsun Wuji's nature well, cunning, scheming. Li Yuan disliked him deeply. Yet that didn't mean he disliked all the family. Pingting was an exception. She was close with Li Lizhu, like sisters. Naturally, Li Yuan had a good impression of her. Smiling, he said, Miss Su, when you say your humble household cannot accommodate the grand Zhangsun family, yet it can accommodate me, doesn't that mean the status of my Li family is even lower than Zhangsuan's? If this were earlier, and Li Yuan's identity unknown, Su Xiaochun would have retorted immediately. But times had changed. Knowing Li Yuan's identity, she had nothing to say. Pingting's face lit up, grateful to the retired emperor who had spoken on her behalf. Su Xiaochun, fuming, said, Yunyang, later tell the cook to prepare just 3 meals, for us only. No freeloaders, no matter who. Li Yuan stiffened and jittered his beard. Miss Su, do you bully elderly folk like this? I came to eat, didn't I always give you a gold cake? What harm is that? Su Xiaochun, now wealthy, no longer cared for gold cakes. She demanded Yunyang return them all immediately. Li Yuan hurried to beg, okay, I'm afraid of you. I admit defeat. Pingting saw this and was stunned. This was the retired emperor herself. And Lady Qing didn't even respect him. That said much about her family's status. If relations remained strained, she might not even get in the door, let alone marry in. Realizing this, Pingting looked at Su Xiaochun and said, Lady Qing, I came purely to visit, not for any other reason. Perhaps there's misunderstanding? Better to dispel doubts first, friendships could follow later. Su Xiaochun replied coldly, if you have motives, do you not already know? Qing Xiu, listening nearby, felt the conversation might escalate. He spoke up, Miss Zhangsun, I don't know why your father changed his stance. I'm not just a marquis but also a merchant. I dislike court intrigue and have no intent to befriend officials. Pingting's face paled. She bit her lip and lowered her head, tears glinting. She could tell, he had no romantic intention toward her. He continued with a smile, that's toward court officials. Miss Zhangsun is not an official. In fact, I hope you and my wife can become good sisters. Su Xiaochun, sensing this, pinched Qing Xiu's waist. He smiled wryly. Pingting's face lit up. After all, she was just a teenage girl without guile. Her emotions showed. Su Xiaochun, irked, husband, can you speak for me? All right, Qing Xiu sighed. You two decide. Whether to be friends or not is up to you. I'll walk over to the wine shop, let me know at mealtime. He rose and tapped his cane, walking off. Su Xiaochun looked conflicted and rushed to catch up, worried he was upset. Pingting, feeling guilty, also got up and followed. Sir, did I say something wrong? Su Xiaochun asked anxiously, watching Qing Xiu's mood. He shook his head, but before he spoke, Pingting came forward, hands clasped over her chest, gently bowing. Thank you, Marquis Qing and Madam, for receiving me with tea. Madam may hold some prejudice against me. I won't stay to inconvenience either you or Marquis Qing. I won't disturb you further. I bid farewell. With that, she covered her face and fled the courtyard, a few tears drifting on the breeze. She cried as she boarded her carriage and instructed the driver to depart immediately. Her voice shook with sobs. Watching her carriage go, Su Xiaochun looked like a child who had done wrong, her hands gripping her dress so tightly her fingers turned white. She watched Qing Xiu anxiously and whispered, "Husband, I'm sorry. I was in the wrong. I was too petty." Qing Xiu patted her head, "Don't blame yourself. In future, don't deal so bluntly. It can hurt others and make you seem petty. If she walks away, let her, don't hang on to it." Su Xiaochun, still remorseful, "I only thought about myself and ignored your stance. That was wrong. Please don't be angry. Tomorrow I'll go apologize to the Zhangsun household personally." He laughed, "Necessary? You haven't done anything wrong to apologize for. Which woman would let others share her man? What you did today just shows your status in my heart. As for visiting the Zhangsun household, don't. At worst, we don't associate with them anymore." She bit her lip and nodded. When Pingting returned home with red eyes, naturally her parents questioned her. Zhangsun Wuji angrily asked, "Did Marquis Qing bully you? Tell me, and I'll get answers." Pingting hurriedly said, "Father, no, it's not him. This morning the hairpin I bought to send Madam broke before I could knock. I came over already. It's my fault for being clumsy." Zhangsun Wuji's anger eased. He comforted her, "Broken is broken. Qing's household is now earning plenty from tea and wine. They probably don't care about a pin. You can get another one later." "Thank you. Tired now, I'll rest in my room." "All right." Pingting went to her boudoir and buried herself in her quilt, softly crying. She knew, after today, there was nothing left between her and Marquis Qing. Tea is a luxury, and wine is equally a luxury, perhaps even more popular than tea. A pound of tea takes a long time to drink, but a pound of wine can run out in a single meal. That's one reason why the liquor business in Chang'an is booming. Every day at Qinglong Tavern in Ani Alley, people line up for wine. Su Xiaochun recently opened a shop near the West Market and hauled over 1,000 pounds of wine into Chang'an early each morning. She stays all day. As for Yunyang, she stayed at the tavern in Ani Alley. While Chang'an had 3 tea shops, there were as many as 15 wine shops, and people queued daily. No one expected the wealthy in Chang'an to be so numerous. It's no wonder, this is the capital city, with hundreds of thousands of permanent residents, and real wealth hidden among the people. One day as usual, dusk fell. Before curfew, Su Xiaochun and Yunyang boarded a carriage and left the city. Long Ma, Old Ma, with 7 or 8 household guards rode escorting 2 carriages back to the manor. Su Xiaochun and Yunyang rode in the covered carriage. The second cart carried a full load of silver. Long Ma and the guards chatted as they rode, but suddenly Ma's expression changed, cold sweat bristled. He flipped off his horse to stand beside it, watching the forest beside the road warily. "Stop!" Ma raised his hand sharply, "Dismount, prepare for battle." Despite seeing nothing, 9 guards at the carriage sides jumped from their horses swiftly and used the mounts as a shield, surrounding the carriage. A guard asked in a low voice, "Old Ma, what happened?" Before Ma could speak, an arrow whizzed overhead and thudded into a guard's neck. Hot blood spurted onto Ma's face. The guard clutched his neck, grabbed the carriage with one hand, the horse with the other, face full of terror and despair. A few desperate seconds later, he collapsed and convulsed, dead. Ma's eyes filled with rage. "Escort the ladies back to the manor." Lu Dabiao returned to the manor to bring help. Just then, Ma Air suddenly stiffened, an arrow whizzed past his head and struck the carriage. Dabiao leapt onto his horse, kicked it hard, and rode madly away behind the carriage. The guards whipped their horses, but the carts were heavy and couldn't flee quickly. Su Xiaochun held her dress and the carriage frame tightly. Yunyang, pale and terrified, clung to her and couldn't speak. More arrows flew from the dense forest, some killed horses. Ahead of Lu Dabiao, a blur in black wielded a large cleaver. With one swing, he cleaved off a warhorse's head. The headless horse crashed down. Dabiao panicked and rolled before fleeing, knowing he couldn't win. The black-clothed man didn't wear a mask and seemed around 30. He laughed coldly at Lu, then he threw his knife back at Lu's retreating back. The blade pierced through. Lu plummeted, spitting blood, eyes dimming. Ma's heart sank. He snarled, "I'll stay and hold them off, get the ladies safely to Sanha village." He unsheathed a foot-long blade and charged a young black-clad man beside the carriage. The man had returned to retrieve his knife. Hearing steps behind, he turned. Ma's blade fell. Quickly he blocked with both hands, hearing a clang of steel. Shocked, he nearly lost the blade and nearly knelt. Ma's strike was powerful. Ma's eyes showed surprise, his full power strike had been held off. The black man's eyes flamed, he recognized Ma as a top fighter. With one step back and a sweep of his blade, he forced Ma back several steps. Black-clothed figures approached the carriage from both sides. Ma stared, they had come close. He broke into cold sweat. 10 guards were present, 6 had fallen. The 3 remaining fought desperately. They were exceptionally fierce, like trained assassins, they killed swiftly. In moments they felled all 3. Someone slashed Ma's back, but he didn't turn. He leapt at 2 black-clad figures climbing the carriage and with 2 strokes knocked both down, almost splitting them in half. Inside the carriage, Su Xiaochun's trembling voice, "If you want money, the other carriage holds 5,000 taels of silver. Take it, just don't harm our guards. Take the silver and we won't pursue this." Ma's heart warmed. He whispered, "Madam, accept me, they're all dead." All dead. Su Xiaochun's eyes reddened. Those guards had escorted her daily the past weeks. Now they were all gone. Her grief was immense. A black-clothed man who killed Lu Dabiao approached and barked, "What are you standing here for? We've killed the old man, don't touch the silver. Take the woman and go." Su Xiaochun's heart jolted, she knew their purpose was to take her. "Bastards! I'll kill you first." Ma swung again. The assassin barely dodged, his fanatic rage evident. He maintained a guard while shouting, "Take her. I'll deal with the old thief." Ma knew, if he fell, the ladies would be taken. The black-clad were stronger. Despite being wounded, Ma fought fiercely. Even if he died, he must delay them. He fought on with desperation. He watched helplessly as Su Xiaochun was pulled from the carriage. With a furious roar, he swung wildly at the attackers. One could have killed him several times over, but Ma's ferocity made even seasoned killers tremble. He drove them back step by step. In the distance, by the roadside, in the faint night light, an elderly figure in a robe and holding a whisk, white-haired, with Taoist air, watched the field strewn with bodies and Ma in battle. Beside him, a middle-aged man frowned and said, "Master, it seems someone is ambushed ahead." The elder frowned, "Chang'an is under the sun of heaven, how dare someone rob on the road? Ling Qiu, go help that old man, don't let him die." Ling Qiu drew his two-rigged sword and dashed forward. When he neared the two locked in fierce combat, he seized the moment and thrust. The black-clad man staggered, letting the sword pierce his left shoulder with a phut. His face changed, he stumbled back, pulled the sword out, and leapt 3 zhang into the forest without looking back. Ma gasped for breath with difficulty. He was old, nearly spent. He had suffered deep wounds, yet managed to stand. "Thank you, both Taoists, for saving him." Old Ma expressed thanks, gritting his teeth and staggering to pursue them. But no sooner had he taken 2 steps than the dizziness from massive blood loss overtook him, and he collapsed onto the official road. The elder Taoist quickly approached from a distance. Ling Qiu helped old Ma up and told the elder, "Master, he's fainted again." By moonlight, the elder examined old Ma's wounds and shook his head sadly. "The wounds are too deep and he's lost too much blood. We used up all our herbs during the free clinic." Ling Qiu searched his person and retrieved a small wooden vial. "Master, I still have some blood-replenishing pills. Should we try them?" The elder's eyes widened, he blew on his beard and glared, "You sneaked my pills?" Ling Qiu chuckled, "Master, not sneaking, just borrowing. You'd forgotten where you stored them, I just took them. If it saves a life, we'll settle it later." The elder gave old Ma a few pills to swallow, then instructed, "Lay him down in the carriage. Strip off his outer clothes. Whether he lives now depends on his fate." Ling Qiu placed him in the carriage. Inside was also a pale young woman with purplish lips from shock. Ling Qiu didn't glance at her, instead he stripped old Ma's jacket, revealing 5 deep, bone-exposing wounds across his chest and back. Outside, the elder guided the surviving horse into the first carriage and they set off. After taking the pills, old Ma weakly opened his eyes, saw Yunyang, and exhaled in relief. His voice was feeble, "Madam Yunyang, I've failed. I watched the young madam being taken away with my eyes open." Yunyang choked on tears, "Uncle Ma, don't blame yourself, your efforts were brave. You saved what you could. Let's return to the estate and summon Master, he'll find a way." Old Ma responded bitterly, "How can I face the Marquis? If I had strength, I would have throated myself." "No, don't say that." Old Ma slumped but urged, "Madam, please, take us back to Sanha village. Gather our guards. We might still trace them now." The elder Taoist snapped, "Return to the village? No, go back to Grassreed Temple. Saving lives is urgent." Old Ma cried out, "Please take us to Sanha village. It's important, if you don't, even if I recover, I'll kill myself." The Taoist frowned but nodded, "You survived this long, your life is stubborn. If you insist, I won't stop you. Tell me the way to Sanha village?" Yunyang had regained composure. She stepped out and said, "I drive the carriage, please, take him inside and don't let him die." The elder entered the carriage and examined old Ma's wounds again, sighing, "Even though the cut is massive, at least it's not wet, so it has dried." If he'd injured a major vessel, he'd be dead. But with such serious wounds, infection could be fatal. Only fortune can decide now. Old Ma looked pale and speechless, closing his eyes. After about 2 incense sticks worth of time, the carriage arrived at Sanha village. At the gate, Yunyang jumped down and rushed toward the house, but by then, Qingxiu had already reached it. He had been seated in the courtyard with Li Yuan, drinking. When he saw Yunyang urging the carriage, he emerged from the courtyard. Master, master! Yunyang almost toppled Qingxiu with her embrace. He steadied her, frowning. Yunyang, what happened? Crying, she said, Xiaochun was abducted, all the guards are dead, and Uncle Ma in the carriage is near death. Qingxiu's heart clenched, his mind snapped back to order. He needed to remain calm. Don't cry, he ordered firmly. Tell me everything honestly, step by step. Yunyang, frightened, wiped her tears, then recounted every detail. They took people but left silver? Qingxiu murmured. Then he comforted her, don't worry, Xiaochun is fine. They weren't after you, lady. Their real target was me. With a few deductions, he realized they didn't want wealth, they took Su Xiaochun as a hostage to threaten him. Li Yuan, hearing the story, grew angry, bold enough to rob outside the city of Chang'an. To snatch the wife of a marquis, unheard of. Feng Fei, bring yourself here now. A man named Feng Fei emerged from an alley. Li Yuan ordered, tell the capital, inform the prince. Send troops immediately to rescue Miss Su. Marquis, what happened? Asked Swansea, Urguzi, and Taizhu, who had rushed over. In a cold voice, Qingxiu said, my wife has been abducted. Swansea, stay. Urguzi and Taizhu, gather all guards, pursue along the road. If any clue surfaces, report back immediately. The three bristled in anger. Urguzi instructed Swansea, protect the marquis. We'll chase. Soon a group of 30 or so departed in formation. Having given orders, Qingxiu realized there was nothing more to do but await news. He recognized the 2 Taoists beside the carriage, an elder and a middle-aged man. These must be the ones Yunyang mentioned who saved old Ma. Qingxiu clasped hands and said, thank you both Taoists for your help, a great kindness. I owe you both a debt. He approached and lifted the curtain to view old Ma's condition. Ma's face was pale and bruised, his torso was stained with blood, showing deep, bone-deep wounds. Most wounds were superficial, but Qingxiu worried Ma could die of blood loss. There was no foreline, no needles, and even blood type matching would be difficult. Swansea, he called. Bring old Ma into the room. Also fetch some alcohol from the tavern and have the cook boil water and sterilize some fine silk cloth. Swansea immediately obeyed. With aids he carried Ma inside. Li Yuan studied the elder Taoist and suddenly said in surprise, you are Taoist son? Taoist son smiled faintly, I have seen the retired emperor. Li Yuan laughed heartily, a few years have passed, Taoist son is still so vigorous. You must be nearly 100? Son nodded, I am 87. Li Yuan introduced, Qingzi, allow me to present, this is Taoist son Simiao, the famed divine physician of the great Tang. With him here, old Ma's survival is likely. Realization dawned on Qingxiu. He recognized the name of Sun Simiao, the legendary king of medicine, who lived past 100 in an era when the average lifespan was under 40, a miracle. Humbly, Sun waved his hand, don't flatter me, here we've no herbs. The herb garden is over 30 li away, a round trip would take over half an hour, and that wounded youth might be long dead by then. Qingxiu shook his head, old Ma is sturdy and these are all flesh wounds on the back and chest. The blood has dried. No bleeding vessel was damaged, so no need to stem bleeding, just disinfect, stitch, and bandage. Sun raised an eyebrow at disinfect, it was an advanced term. Though suturing was known, infection prevention in those days was rarely mentioned. By candlelight, Qingxiu heated a needle until red, then clamped the tip between 2 copper coins and bent it into the curve of a crescent moon. After doing that, he placed the needle and thread into alcohol to disinfect them. Once sterilized, when threading the needle, both Li Yuan and Sun Simiao watched in amazement. Imagine a blind man wearing an eye mask yet accurately finding the needle's eye, that's beyond belief. Li Yuan looked at Qingxiu as if seeing a ghost. Sun Simiao clicked his tongue, truly amazing. Lord Qing is blind, yet can thread a needle so precisely. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would never believe it. Retired emperor, is he really blind? Sun asked Li Yuan in disbelief. Li Yuan twitched his mouth and solemnly nodded, yes. He really is blind. Palace physicians have examined him. His eyesight is gone, no medicine can help. Strange, very strange. Sun Simiao, renowned in medicine, understood that suturing wounds aids healing, but he had no knowledge of sterilization. He had once stitched wounds for others, using straight needles and plain silk thread washed with water. Though he could close wounds, in over half the cases they became infected, festered, and sometimes led to death. Ancient people had no microscopes, no way to discover bacteria. The concept of sterilization simply did not exist in those times. As he watched the blind man stitch wounds, Sun asked, "Lord Qing, earlier I heard you speak of sterilization, but I do not know what sterilization is. Could you explain?" Qingxiu paused his work, tore off a small piece of xian paper, held it over the candle flame, then dropped it into the alcohol bowl. The nearly 80 degrees alcohol ignited instantly, burning with a faint blue flame. Gasp! Li Yuan drew a sharp breath. "This wine can actually burn?" Qingxiu continued stitching while explaining, "In the world there are many tiny living beings invisible to our eyes. Some are beneficial, more are harmful. Harmful tiny beings are called bacteria. Bacteria are dangerous, they easily infect wounds and cause them to fester or, in severe cases, lead to agonizing death. To kill bacteria we use sterilization. One method is high heat, hence boiling water to sterilize cloth. The thread and needle also carry bacteria, and alcohol is their nemesis." "Alcohol?" Sun observed the burning liquid with serious interest. Li Yuan joined closer. "Young Qing, so this burning liquid is alcohol? Where does this alcohol come from?" Qingxiu answered, "Different liquors have different strengths. Ordinary household wine is only 10-odd degrees. Sanlijiang is around 30 degrees. Our Xingguocan reaches over 50 degrees. The stronger the liquor, the more potent it is. Of course, liquor over 60 degrees will damage the body if consumed. Such liquor is only fit for sterilizing. Liquor over 70 degrees is called alcohol. What I used just now burns with around 80 degree strength. Alcohol can kill over 90% of bacteria. Using alcohol to sterilize wounds prevents infection and decay." Sun Simiao suddenly cupped his hands in salute. "I've learned much today. Thank you, Lord Qing." Qingxiu shook his head. "You're too kind, Taoist Sunday compared to saving lives, you are like an immortal. I am humbled you salute me." Sun Simiao squinted in a smile. Confucius said, "Among 3 people, 1 may be my teacher. I don't claim to be the world's best physician. To learn, to apply learning, these are my lifelong principles. Lord Qing, no need to be modest." He then sighed, "If only I had known of sterilization sooner, I wouldn't carry the deaths of so many people. Some wounded men didn't die immediately but suffered from infection until death." At this, Sun's expression grew somber. Li Yuan looked equally grim. Suddenly he slammed his fist on the table and sighed deeply. Qingxiu looked up. "Old Li, what madness are you in?" Li Yuan's eyes reddened. "If my army had known sterilization in battle, my brothers on the battlefield wouldn't have died so young from infected wounds. In the Great Tang army, countless were wounded, over 30% died from infected wounds. Dying in pain. Had sterilization been known, so many young soldiers wouldn't have perished?" "Ah." Qingxiu fell silent and continued stitching old Ma's wounds earnestly. Old Ma, still unconscious, could not feel the needle's pain, a small mercy. After about an hour, Qingxiu finished stitching all wounds. After disinfecting with alcohol, he rose and cupped to Sun Simiao. "Taoist Sun, now it is your turn to apply medicine." Sun had already sent his disciple Ling Qiu back to Grassreed Temple for herbs. A while ago the medicine powder arrived. Sun opened a porcelain jar and sprinkled green powder over old Ma's wounds. Fine silk gauze boiled and sterilized had been dried and delivered by the kitchen ladies. Qingxiu and Sun together wrapped old Ma in bandages like a rice dumpling. Although he was given 2 large bowls of salted water, he had lost so much blood his face was deathly pale. No sign of color, but they saved his life. With 1 or 2 months of rest he would recover. When stepping outside for fresh air, they saw fires blazing. Qingxiu asked, "Swansea, what is happening outside?" Swansea approached to explain, "Lord, when villagers learned the madam was abducted, they spontaneously organized house-to-house searches to help find her." Qingxiu's heart warmed. He tapped his blind cane and walked out. Within the view covered by heaven-eye vision, village men and women, old and young, all had come. Some men even stood shirtless. Marquis Qing, an old man missing a tooth, asked with concern, "Has the young madam been found?" Qingxiu shook his head. "Don't worry, Marquis Qing. Everyone in the village will help you search. We will surely bring the young madam back. Who dares act so boldly? Makes me furious. Our young madam has treated us kindly. If anything happens to her, I'll sacrifice my life for justice. A team of 12 men, we'll search nearby villages." Qingxiu raised his hand and silence fell. He bowed to the villagers. "I understand your feelings. That person who abducted my wife planned carefully, they likely left no clues. With only your efforts, we cannot succeed. I appreciate your kindness deeply. I have already sent word to Chang'an. His Majesty has agreed to dispatch troops. I believe she will be found soon. Please return home and rest. When there is news, I will inform you immediately. Rest assured, my wife is blessed, nothing will befall her." Villagers insisted further but, after repeated refusals, gradually dispersed. Before long hoofbeats sounded from outside the village. Qingxiu observed carefully. Leading on horseback was Li Ji, and behind him armored senior generals, Yu Qigong, Cheng Yaojin, Niu Jinda, Li Xiaogong, Li Jing, even Sun Wujie was among them. A closer look revealed Li Ji's jade crown askew, clothes worn inside out, hair disheveled. Seeing this, Qingxiu felt a warmth. Their hurried appearance showed how anxious Li Ji was. Despite their rank, their hurried attire and rough appearance showed genuine concern, not a show. It proved to him how much they cared about this matter. Qingxiu absolutely did not expect that Li Er, the emperor, would come in person with others. He brought generals here, his status was obvious. There was no point in any more disguise. But Qingxiu knew he was blind, even so he did not speak first. Instead, with a puzzled look he asked Swansea, all those hoofbeats, did someone arrive? Swansea whispered, Marquis, it's the few dukes who dined at your house that day. Qingxiu bowed to everyone and said, it is indeed honored that the dukes have come so far to pay respects. Li Jing dismounted first, came close to Qingxiu's ear and said softly, His Majesty is also here. Lantian Marquis, you must not bow excessively. Qingxiu pretended surprise, and bowed. Lantian County Marquis Qingxiu greets your Majesty. Li Er dismounted hastily, rushed forward in 2 steps, straightened Qingxiu's body with his hands and with a grim face said, Marquis Qing need not be ceremonious. From now on, you need not bow when you meet me. I have already heard about your wife. That group of damned thieves is bold, they dared to operate right under my nose. I have already ordered Chai Xiao to mobilize 90,000 troops of the Right Guard in counties around Chang'an to search. Soon they will find her. Thank you, your Majesty. The other generals dismounted in turn. Yu Qigong, holding a saber in his left hand and a steel whip in his right, jumped off and said in a buzzing voice, Marquis Qing, I heard of your family circumstances. Immediately I dispatched hundreds of family guards out of the city to help search. Those thieves will find no escape. Cheng Yaojin also said, I had my son lead guards to search. Marquis Qing, don't worry, they should find her soon. Li Xiaogong added, I too have had my son lead guards to search. Qingxiu suddenly frowned and said, Your Majesty, dukes, please call back your guards quickly. Why? Li Er looked perplexed. But why recall them? Marquis Qing, do you no longer care for your wife's safety? Everyone else also looked puzzled. Qingxiu shook his head and said in a deep voice, There's too much commotion. I fear they will fight to the death, and that would endanger my wife, not worth the cost. Li Er's face changed, his expression became complicated, but if we don't search, how will we know where your wife is? Qingxiu replied, My wife left the city carrying several thousand taels of silver. If their goal was theft, they could have killed everyone and taken the money. Yet they did not. Not one silver piece is missing, they only abducted her. Why? Everyone's expression changed and they looked at him. Li Er narrowed his eyes and said, They came for you. Qingxiu nodded. Li Er's expression became even more complex. Marquis Qing, why would these villains come for you? Qingxiu shook his head and forced a smile. If I knew, none of this would have happened. He believed Su Xiaochun would not be killed, but worried more that Su Xiaochun, who was pregnant, might lose her child from shock, and that harm would be worse. Could it be? Li Er's eyes flashed coldly, the Dou family? Qingxiu shook his head, I don't know, we cannot rule anyone out. Li Er spoke softly, if Marquis Qing has enemies, you may tell me. I can investigate each family. Qingxiu said, other than the Dou family, there is none, but Dou family is unlikely. Why? Qingxiu said, in your Majesty's view, would they act so overtly? No, it seems unlikely. Li Er shook his head. Ah, he sighed, Marquis Qing, what can be done now? Qingxiu bowed to the others, please withdraw your household guards, and your Majesty withdraw the right guard. I appreciate the generous support today from the dukes, but my wife's life is at stake. I cannot tolerate any risk. Li Er waved weakly, as Marquis Qing says, withdraw them all. Yu Qigong grim-faced said, Marquis Qing, once your wife is safe, please send word to my mansion so I can rest easy. Thank you, Duke of E. The other dukes expressed similar words, exchanged polite remarks, and Li Er led them all away. After leaving the village, Li Er whispered to a guard by his side, you and several eunuchs stay behind here overnight and guard near the Marquis house. If anyone tries to harm the Marquis, they must pass over your bodies first. The guard felt a chill and bowed deeply. He and 3 others mounted horses and returned to the village. Li Xiaogong scratched his ear and asked curiously, Your Majesty, your concern for Marquis Qing, are you perhaps showing more concern for him than for Prince Wei or Prince Shu? Prince Wei is Li Tai. Li Er's favor toward him is no secret. But another prince with equally high standing in Li Er's mind is Li Ku, the Prince of Shu. His mother was Consort Yang, daughter of Sui Emperor Yang. As for Li Er, no need to say. Li Er's expression turned serious. Prince Hejian, your words are mistaken. He turned, pointed in the firelight at the village behind them. Look, a few months ago this was wilderness. In just a few months, it has developed more flourishing than Lantian County. Given time, it will rival Chang'an. Three Rivers Village originally had 200 or 300 people, now 1,000. Every household is wealthier than surrounding villagers. They all run profitable trades. Who gave them that? It was Marquis Qing who gave these villagers a path to survive. And that's just one village. Suppose all villages fared like Three Rivers, they would all be prosperous, able to eat and wear without worry. Papermaking, movable type printing, the method to temper steel, these grand deeds aside, just by benefiting the people, who in the world can match Marquis Qing? If I issue an edict and require all villages in Tang to imitate Three Rivers Village, the people of Tang would all prosper. It matters not whether he is a disciple of an immortal or an immortal himself, as long as he continues benefiting the people, as long as I sit on this throne, I will not allow anyone to harm him. To harm him is to weaken the pillar of Tang. Li Er's speech made everyone gasp. Li Xiaogong opened his mouth, then nodded, Indeed, your Majesty is right. If every village in the land follows Three Rivers Village's example, that will usher in flourishing times. I congratulate Tang, I congratulate your Majesty. The others echoed, I congratulate Tang, I congratulate your Majesty. Li Er gazed firmly at the village behind them. Li Yuan, aged and weary from childbearing duties before arriving in the village, chose to leave first. Sun Simiao stayed to care for old Ma. In the past, Qingxiu would share roasted skewers and wine with Sun Simiao. But today, he had no mood. He sat alone in the courtyard, holding firmly the handle of his blind cane sword. Two people jumped down from the roof. One of them, wearing a bitter expression, bowed to Qingxiu and forced a smile. Marquis Qing, how did you discover us? The other two also climbed in from outside the wall, looking at Qingxiu in shock. Of course Qingxiu didn't foolishly say he had divine vision, he only pointed to his ear. All four were astonished. Training hearing to that level is simply unbelievable. Qingxiu sighed helplessly. If you stay on the roof beams, you might scare away the guest I'm waiting for. If you don't want to leave, you can go inside the house. If I'm in danger, you must come out first to protect me. The leader asked in surprise, Marquis Qing, who are you waiting for? Qingxiu replied, the people who kidnapped my wife, they will come find me. The man asked in doubt, why are you so certain, Marquis Qing? Qingxiu explained, near Chang'an, under the emperor's gaze, they can't linger long. By midnight, they must come here. The guard shook his head, if that's so, then we must not be careless. Marquis Qing, forgive us, it's safer if we return to the roof. Qingxiu frowned, can you use your brain? If you're on the roof, who dares come in? If no one comes here, how would I know my wife's whereabouts or their purpose? The guards hesitated. Qingxiu impatiently said, it is my wife who was abducted. If she meets harm because of you, even without His Majesty taking action, I will personally kill you. The guards' faces fell. Helpless, they said, fine, then we'll stay inside the house. Leaving the doors open is okay? Yes, just hide. Silently, the four entered the main hall and sat in dark corners, watching every outside movement. About 2 hours passed, almost 1 a.m. Qingxiu, already a bit drowsy, suddenly snapped awake, placing his hand on his cane sword's hilt. About 4 meters away, a silhouette cleanly made its way across the roof toward them. A glint of killing intent appeared at the corner of Qingxiu's mouth. He was ready to draw at any moment. Lately daily sword drawing practice had become habitual, even muscle memory. Even if Ling Yuan's guards combined forces and were alert, he was confident he could slay them all. The figure arrived nearly silently on the roof beam, quietly crouching where Ling Er's guards had been. Qingxiu was surprised. The figure was female. She could not be more than 20 years old, dressed in sleek clothing that outlined her perfect curves, well-formed downward and upward, graceful appearance, willow leaf eyebrows, oval face, thin lips curled in a playful and sly smile. Dan Xiaoro tilted her head, looking at Qingxiu's back, a faint smile playing on her lips. Qingxiu set down his teacup, and in a low voice said, since you have come, why hide? Dan Xiaoro's expression changed, she looked startled. Inside, Ling Er's personal guard stiffened. One was about to rush out, but was grabbed by their leader. Be calm, don't spook the snake. Suddenly the guard leader held several thrown daggers in his hand. Seeing no reaction from the rooftop figure, Qingxiu frowned. You on the roof, I'm speaking to you. Dan Xiao stood, a slight smile on her face. Looking down from above, she said, not unexpectedly a disciple of an immortal, you really have extensive powers. Even such small sounds you can detect. She finished and leapt down to stand before Qingxiu, stirring curiosity in her gaze. Qingxiu said in a calm voice, you went to such trouble to abduct my wife, you came for me, right? Dan Xiao nodded, and seeing his eye cover, quietly hummed in agreement. Qingxiu asked, what do you want? How can you release my wife? Dan Xiao didn't waste time. Smiling, she said straight out, simple, you come with me, and your wife will return home safely tomorrow. The guard leader's face changed. The thrown daggers had already been launched, quiet but sharp. Dan Xiao calmly sat down. The blades flew just above her head, embedding in the wall, sparks flying. Four guards leapt out, 2 stood left and right by Qingxiu, the other 2 moved behind Dan Xiao, ready to act. Dan Xiao remained unfazed. She leaned over the teapot on the table, sniffed, then took several loud sips. Ah, so refreshing. Trod dozens of miles, I was parched. The guard leader said sternly, young lady, you're bold, coming alone? Dan Xiao smiled lightly, what, you're going to kill me? She then leaned forward, narrowed her eyes, and gestured at her own neck as though daring them. The guard leader's face changed. Another dagger appeared in his hand. Qingxiu said calmly, do not act rashly. I will come with her. The guard leader responded, Marquis Qing, if you die we die. If your wife dies, we still can survive. Our mission is to protect you. Qingxiu said coldly, if my wife dies, you die too. I go with her. You can live. I will tell my family to inform His Majesty so you remain unharmed. But if you defy me, don't blame me for being ruthless. The 4 guards looked conflicted. Yunyang had already heard the commotion. Dressed and cautious, she found many men around her lord and didn't know who were enemies. She dared not step forward. Qingxiu said, Yunyang, I must go out. Xiaochun will come early tomorrow. If His Majesty comes, tell him not to punish these guards, please don't let him execute them. Each guard let out a breath, they relaxed slightly. Yunyang, seeing these men are the Emperor's guards, nodded anxiously, don't worry, my lord. I will speak well for them. Dan Xiao stood and smiled, Marquis Qing, will you come with me now? Qingxiu then said to his wife, Yunyang, when Xiaochun arrives, tell her not to worry about me. Let the village continue to flourish and the business go on. Be patient until I return. After speaking, he stood and said, let us go. Dan Xiao made no sound and moved swiftly. She grabbed Qingxiu's belt, took a few steps, and leapt over the wall. The guard leader was deeply worried. Another guard comforted, leader, it's fortune, not disaster. If disaster was unavoidable, we can't help it. We only hope that when the Emperor learns of this tomorrow, he does not fly into a rage. He then bowed to Yunyang, Madam, our lives now rest in your hands. Please speak well for us. Yunyang nodded, worried, and returned inside. She had heard everything outside and could control nothing. All she could do was wait. Outside, Dan Xiao carried Qingxiu at extraordinary speed, far faster than expected. Qingxiu was secretly startled, such a delicate young woman having this strength and stamina was frightening. Miss, please put me down. Let's walk slowly, just because I'm blind doesn't mean I can't walk, right? Dan Xiao ignored him and continued running. Qingxiu sighed, if you run like this, your feet will get smelly. Dan Xiao paused, blushed, and angrily said, shut up. Qingxiu laughed, there, you see? You must really have stinky feet. Dan Xiao's eyes blazed with indignation. Her pace slowed, but she didn't set him down. Qingxiu didn't insist. It conserved her strength, and would save his energy if they had to fight later. Not knowing how much time had passed, Dan Xiao began to pant. They were in a mountain forest, though which mountain was not known. Miss, where are you taking me? Qingxiu asked. Dan Xiao took a deep breath, switched arms carrying Qingxiu, adjusted her breathing a few times before answering, to Qinling, mountains. A faint smile appeared on Qingxiu's lips. If they had gone along the official road, and if there were many of the enemy, it would have been troublesome. But in Qinling, deep wilderness, dark night, their vision is obstructed, while mine is not affected at all. Thinking this made Qingxiu smile more. Dan Xiao did not notice the change in his mood, and silently carried him into Qinling. After about an hour, crossing 2 small hilltops, they arrived in a mountain ravine. Viewing from above, Qingxiu saw more than 10 people there, 2 women among them, one wearing a veil, and the other was his own wife? Seeing Su Xiaochun safe put Qingxiu's mind at ease at last. Master, I've returned, Dan Xiao said as she entered the ravine, set Qingxiu down, and spoke to the veiled woman. Because it was too dark and vegetation dense, moonlight did not reach in. Su Xiaochun had not noticed Qingxiu's arrival. She lay propped up against dry hay, looking disheveled, her hands bound behind her, a cloth gag in her mouth. Seeing this, Qingxiu's face filled with murderous intent, and he gripped the hilt of his cane sword tightly. An elder approached Qingxiu, looked him over carefully, and asked, "You are Qingxiu?" "Yes, I am the one." Hearing the noise, Su Xiaochun's eyes widened, tears filled her blinking eyes and she made sobbing sounds. Qingxiu said calmly, "Since I'm here, you should release my wife." The elder chuckled, "Release her, and how could we continue to use you to carry out our plans?" Qingxiu's veins bulged on the back of his hand, he restrained the urge to draw his sword. He could not act rashly. If he killed them all, Su Xiaochun would surely die in the chaos. The veiled woman spoke softly, voice charming yet chilling, "Mr. Tu, he is already in our hands, and keeping his wife is pointless. Better to keep your word and release her." Mr. Tu frowned in displeasure. "Miss Lu, who is handling this, me or you?" Lu Yunyan looked unhappy. "We discussed this earlier. I'm not of your secret sect, we are merely partners. Entering that place, our Miao village also has a share." Mr. Tu's eyes brimmed with murderous intent. But on second thought, he waved his hand. "Fang Zhe, release her. Find someone to escort her out." A shirtless man named Fang Zhe, his shoulder wrapped with white silk now soaked red in blood, removed the gag from Su Xiaochun's mouth. "Master, master!" Su Xiaochun sobbed, attempting to rush toward Qingxiu. Qingxiu looked anxious, one hand grasped the cane, the other fumbled blindly. "Wife, where are you? Wife!" In desperation, Qingxiu stepped forward 2 paces, but slipped and fell to the ground. "Wife, where are you?" Clumsily he crawled, and accidentally grabbed the bare chest of the veiled woman. "Wife, I found you." Lu Yunyan shuddered as though electrocuted and blushed beneath her veil. She retreated 1 step and sharply snapped, "You blind man, what are you groping?" "Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm blind, I cannot see." Su Xiaochun opened her mouth to speak but faltered. But seeing Qingxiu and finding he was unharmed restored her calm. Her only worry now was his safety. Her bonds were undone. In 3 swift steps she rushed into Qingxiu's arms, crying. Qingxiu comforted her, "Don't cry, my wife. I came to save you." Straining with tears, Su Xiaochun said, "My lord, their target is you. You should escape. Don't worry about me." Qingxiu shook his head, "My wife, how can a blind man outrun them? Rest assured, I'll be fine." He gently moved Su Xiaochun aside, and addressed the others, "I don't know what you intend. But now that I'm here, in exchange you must ensure my wife is safely returned to Sanha village. Otherwise, whatever your goal, I won't cooperate." Mr. Tu turned to a middle-aged man and said, "Tian Meng, you run fastest, go escort the Marquis's wife back to the manor and return to meet us at the marker point." "Yes, master." Tian Meng stepped forward to lift Su Xiaochun. Qingxiu spoke, "Wait. What?" Mr. Tu asked impatiently. Qingxiu said coldly, "My wife is a woman, you having him escort her makes me uneasy. Is there not a woman here?" Mr. Tu said sternly, "Still bargaining with me? Not harming her is already mercy." Qingxiu shook his head, "I don't agree. I want a woman to escort my wife, she is with child, and must not be handled roughly. If you can meet my terms, I'll meet yours." Mr. Tu raised an eyebrow, hint of excitement. He looked to Lu Yunyan and Dan Xiao, "Which of you two will go?" Dan Xiao frowned slightly but answered, "I'll go." Lu Yunyan said, "Let me go. Little Ro, you will tire yourself. Remain to rest." Then she bent down near Su Xiaochun and said, "Get on, I'll carry you." Su Xiaochun said anxiously, "My lord, I don't want that. I want to stay with you and die with you." Qingxiu's face darkened, "Listen. If you stay here, I worry. The village needs someone to oversee things. Can timid Yunyang do that? Return home, I will be fine." Lu Yunyan showed impatience, "As long as you deliver what we seek from your lord, we will not harm him. If we wanted to harm him, he wouldn't be alive now." Tears poured from Su Xiaochun's face. She lay over Lu Yunyan's back. On this mountain path, Lu Yunyan moved as though on flat ground, her foot strength even stronger than Dan Xiao. Her feet must also be quite smelly? Once this woman returns, Qingxiu will have no more worry, and then he will certainly dispatch them all without hesitation. Mr. Tu said, "In case, we must first leave here. Little Ro, don't forget to leave markers for your master." "I know. He won't get lost." Mr. Tu said, "Tian Meng, since Mr. Qing is blind, carrying this burden slows the journey. You carry him." At this, Qingxiu smiled inwardly. Tian Meng did not hesitate, he grabbed Qingxiu's arms and slung him over his back. They traveled very quickly. Before dawn, they had passed several mountain ridges. Mr. Tu glanced at the sky, stop and prepare food. After eating, continue. We rest again at night. Tian Meng set Qingxiu down. Qingxiu sat on a large rock. Mr. Tu, Qingxiu asked curiously, may I ask what it is you sought from me? Mr. Tu sat across on a rock and asked, the jade capital above heaven, 12 towers, 5 cities, immortals brush my head, wedlock seals eternal life, that poem, was it written by you? Yes, it was I who wrote that. Mr. Tu's eyes burned. I hear you are a disciple of an immortal. Then surely you know the road to jade capital. Qingxiu's expression turned wary. You want to go to jade capital? Seeing Qingxiu's reaction, Mr. Tu grew more excited. Yes. We wish to go to jade capital to seek immortality techniques from an immortal. If you lead us there, we will release you. If Qingxiu had sight, he surely would have given a derisive look. What era is this, and people still dream of becoming immortal? Qingxiu snorted, I do know the road to jade capital, but that place is not accessible to just anyone. With just you mortals, what fantasy nonsense. Mr. Tu asked anxiously, so mortals cannot go to jade capital? Qingxiu pondered, mortals may go, but the path is perilous and difficult. It requires water from the sacred pool of Yaoqi in Kunlun, blood of the colossal Kuan fish from the northern ocean, and a bowl made of 10,000-year cold jade from the land where half the day is sun and half the night is darkness at the South Pole. Immortal wine must be brewed by mixing the Yaoqi water and Kuan fish blood, served in the 10,000-year cold jade bowl. On mid-autumn's full moon night, climb Mount Everest and kneel sincerely, then an immortal will descend to greet you. Mr. Tu listened speechless. Not only him, all present stared dumbfounded. Qingxiu grinned inwardly, this is nonsense, scare you to death with it. Mr. Tu was silent for a long time. Suddenly his face flushed with excitement, his whole body trembling. He came in front of Qingxiu and squatted down, eyes shining. You actually know that at the far south there is a place half black night, half white day. Could it be that you have been there? Qingxiu shivered, shaking his head, I will never go there again in this life. It's too cold, people can freeze to death alive. If mortals do not need to pass that road to go to the white jade capital, I would never go, no matter what. If my master had not infused immortality power into me every day, I would have frozen to death in that far south land. Mr. Tu, I've told you the method. I will never go there again, even if you kill me. It's just too cruel. Mr. Tu said excitedly, the path to immortality ought to be extremely difficult. If it were easy, immortals would be everywhere. Qingxiu sighed, so many years have passed in a blink. I wonder how my immortal master is doing. Immediately Mr. Tu looked at him with deep respect and asked, Master Qing, all the abilities you have shown during this time, were they taught by an immortal? Qingxiu beamed with pride, of course. The wisdom of immortals in the white jade capital, you cannot imagine. If that place did not require severing all worldly desires, I would have stayed there as an immortal. But I lacked purity of root, so my master abandoned me and expelled me from the white jade capital. Mr. Tu looked regretful, Master Qing, accept my condolences. Not everyone has the fate of becoming immortal. Master Qing, Mr. Tu asked with confusion, why is it necessary to ascend Mount Everest on a full moon night? Also, where exactly is that peak located? Qingxiu explained, Mount Everest lies on the southwestern border of Tubo. It is the highest peak under heaven and the closest place to the white jade capital. Standing atop it, one can nearly see immortals flying and dancing to and fro around white jade capital. Mr. Tu's heart nearly leapt out, he listened intently like a schoolchild. The others also gathered around, all with faces full of longing and excitement. Qingxiu continued, the reason to choose Mid-Autumn Festival, the 15th day of the 8th lunar month, is because that is also a festive day in White Jade Capital. On that night, White Jade Capital is closest to the mortal realm. Standing on Everest, one can almost touch it by hand. Mr. Tu urgently asked, Master Qing, could you tell us what the world of White Jade Capital is like? Qingxiu looked dreamy, it's a very beautiful world. Even thousands of miles apart, immortals can chat face-to-face using something called a mobile phone. Without leaving home you can learn anything in the world. There's also something called a car, which can carry many people and travel 1,000 miles in a day. And airplanes that fly to 10,000 meters high, traveling 10,000 miles in a day. There, endless delicious food, wine flowing unceasing, tall buildings everywhere, lights everywhere at night, surrounded by fairy women singing constantly. The medical skill is also very powerful, broken arms or legs can be reattached. Mr. Tu and his followers all wore expressions of yearning, every face said, I want to go. Qingxiu inwardly sighed. In this age without even padded clothing, going to the far south is nearly impossible to survive, let alone Mount Everest. Climbing it is no easy feat, let these daydreamers go suffer. Mr. Tu, the food is ready. Mr. Tu stood and instructed, first prepare food for Master Qing. Soon someone brought food beside Qingxiu, millet porridge, roasted goat meat, and some hard wheat cakes. Mr. Tu looked apologetic, Master Qing, you are accustomed to delicacies. Our offerings are simple. Please do not mind. Qingxiu did not refuse. He took the roast lamb leg and began eating, though it was totally unsalted, which made him helpless. But to replenish strength for tonight's journey, even if it tastes bad, he began to eat heartily. Before he finished, Lu Yunyan returned with a package on her back. Qingxiu set down his bowl and asked, did you return my wife home? Lu Yunyan placed the package on the rock beside Qingxiu and said, your wife is already safely home. This package contains things she prepared for you, a token certifying I delivered her safely. Qingxiu opened it and immediately lit up with joy. Inside was a small pack of fine salt, a jar of 5-gene apricot flower wine, some fried crispy meat, and even a steamed lobster with garlic. Everyone smelled it and stared greedily at Qingxiu's package. Mr. Tu said angrily, look at you lot, have no ambition. Don't lay greedy eyes on Master Qing's goods. Wait until you all get to White Jade Capital, surely you'll get these foods there. Everyone bowed their heads in shame. Mr. Tu urged, eat quickly. After eating, we must press on. They finished breakfast shortly. A group of 18 began to travel. Sanha village. Li Yuan got up early and came straight to Qingxiu's house. He had lived with Qingxiu and his wife for months, the bond was deep. He was still very worried about Su Xiaochun. But the moment Li Yuan entered, he froze. Su Xiaochun was addressing Xuanzi, explaining something. For each family whose guard died in battle yesterday, 200 taels of silver as compensation. In addition, each month we will give each bereaved family 2 strings of cash. In the workshops at home, relatives of those deceased guards get priority for work. Yes, madam. Xuanzi replied and left to implement it. Li Yuan stepped in quickly and cried, Su girl, when did you return? Where is your husband? Su Xiaochun looked a little composed but fatigued, aftermath of a sleepless night. Seeing Li Yuan enter, Su Xiaochun's face turned dark, her eyes red, but she held back tears. Li Yuan urgently said, speak up. Are you going to kill me with worry? It was my husband who had me returned. He already left with them. What? Li Yuan felt his vision darken. Leaning against the wall, steadied himself. Then he beat his thigh and shouted, Qing boy has gone reckless. How could he put himself in danger? Su Xiaochun bit her lip until tears fell uncontrollable. She sobbed, old Li, what else could I do? She felt desperate. Though she believed Qingxiu, she did not trust blindly, especially in such danger. Li Yuan continued to ask, and Su Xiaochun recounted everything that happened in Qinling. Qinling? I understand. Li Yuan turned and walked outside the house calling, Feng Fei, go immediately to the palace for me. Li Yuan gave Feng Fei a few instructions, and Feng Fei mounted a horse and rode off toward Chang'an. Meanwhile, Li Er held a morning court specifically to discuss the bandit incident outside Chang'an. In heated discussion, Wang De hurried over and whispered to Li Er. Li Er abruptly rose, shocked. What? Marquis Qing has been taken. Wang De said quietly, not taken by force, Marquis Qing willingly went with them, to exchange for his wife. He said he would stay as hostage. Li Er was troubled. The morning session was collapsing. He slammed the table and shouted, Hong Jingtin, come before me at once. From a corner, a middle-aged man wearing a hawk-and-dog emblem robe swiftly came to the court. Li Er glowered and commanded, lead all the cavalry from Lantian County into Qinling, find Marquis Qing for me. To Yuqi Jingda and Cheng Yaojin, I command each of you to take 20,000 troops and adequate provisions for a month. Go into Qinling and find Qing Ho, even if you must dig 3 feet of earth, find him. Wei Zheng in the court ranks raised his eyebrow and exchanged a glance with a remonstrator beside him. That remonstrator stepped forward holding his admonition board and spoke, Your Majesty, the Chang'an garrison is the last shield for defending the capital. Can you mobilize tens of thousands of troops over one man's safety? The garrison only has 50,000 soldiers. If you move 40,000, shall Chang'an fall? Have you forgotten the 200,000 Turkic cavalry at the city gates years ago? Soldiers are born for war. Now there is no war. Should you mobilize tens of thousands for a personal concern? Marquis of Lantian is but one person. But Chang'an concerns the empire. Can a personal risk outweigh the realm's safety? I urge your majesty to reconsider. Li Er stared at the advisor coldly, murderous intent in his eyes. The generals also looked grim. Especially those who had accompanied Li Er to Sanha village, they even seemed gleeful. They now understood Qingxiu's importance to Li Er. Yet some blind man runs into the blade's edge, is he seeking death? Ling Er squinted at the remonstrating official and spoke in a low voice, Censor Lu, didn't I leave 10,000 soldiers at the main camp? The Treaty of Weishui has already been signed. Shili Kagan won't send troops against Great Tang for several years. Your worry is unnecessary. Censor Lu, from the Lu clan of Fanyang. Among the civil officials, a large portion came from the 5 surnames and 7 clans. They monopolized knowledge, resulting in more than half of the scholars in the empire coming from these families. It was the same for court officials. Of course, military generals were an exception, but even among them, many had ties to the 5 surnames and 7 clans. Take Cheng Yaojin, for example. His second wife was a legitimate daughter of the Chui clan from Qinghe. Many court officials treated Cheng Yaojin with extra courtesy because of this. The 5 surnames and 7 clans did not want any individual prestige to surpass their 1,000-year-old family status. Suppressing such a matter was inevitable. Censor Lu spoke sternly, Your Majesty, the Turks are barbarians. They don't talk reason with us Tang people. If they want to attack, even signing 80 Weishui treaties won't stop their iron hooves. Your Majesty secretly transferred the city's 10,000 defenders last night, putting Chang'an in danger. I can understand that it was out of concern for Lord Qing, a mistaken decision, but now Your Majesty must not let a small matter jeopardize a greater one. Besides stirring up court disputes, the 5 surnames and 7 clans also like to suppress royal authority. This not only brought great fame to their families but also proved their importance in court. Ling Er never dared act rashly against the 5 surnames and 7 clans. If provoked, they would band together without hesitation. Their usual tactic was resigning and going home under the guise of old age. Just in the censorate alone, there were more than 30 censors, and the 5 surnames and 7 clans made up more than half. This had happened before. In various regions, many important positions were also held by people from these families. If they all resigned at once, half of Great Tang would be paralyzed, disastrous for any dynasty. There's a saying, dynasties flow like water, but great families are ironclad. These families had thrived for 1,000 years for a reason. Oh? Ling Er let out a sound and suddenly turned serious. Lord Qing developed the Sanha village area from a wasteland into a prosperous region. The Turks believe this is all due to Lord Qing's efforts. With Lord Qing present, Great Tang will develop rapidly, but the Turks don't want to see our prosperity. They specially sent 20,000 spies into Guangzhou. They not only kidnapped Lord Qing but also looted, burned, and killed around Lantian before hiding in the depths of Qinling. Wei Chide and Cheng Yaojin, I order you to each lead 20,000 troops with 2 months of rations into Qinling to eliminate the Turkic spies. Don't let them threaten Chang'an. Depart immediately and make no mistakes. Censor-in-Chief Wei Zheng's mouth twitched. All the censors' mouths twitched. Censor Lu was already dumbfounded. Some generals couldn't hold back and burst out laughing. Wei Chide and Cheng Yaojin didn't dare delay. They immediately accepted the order and left the Taiji Hall as fast as they could. Censor Lu's face changed. He shouted, Your Majesty, this is a serious matter, not a child's game. Please withdraw your order. Think thrice, Your Majesty. The remonstrating officials all began to speak out. Ling Er's gaze was full of authority. Censor Lu, 20,000 Turkic troops have already infiltrated Guangzhou. I sent troops to eliminate them. How is that child's play? Do you want to watch the Turks loot and kill in Guangzhou? Are you still a subject of Great Tang? Censor Lu's face turned ashen. He cried out with sorrow, Your Majesty, whether there are 20,000 Turks, you know better than all of us. How can you make up military reports? People around Censor Lu gasped. Everyone gave him a, You're bold, look. Ling Er immediately exploded in rage. Lu Shoulin, how dare you openly defy imperial authority? As a civil official, you meddle in military secrets. You try to stop me from deploying troops to resist the Turkic cavalry. Clearly you want to see the people of Guangzhou slaughtered. You're a traitor with evil intentions. Could it be you've colluded with the Turks? Lu Shoulin was terrified, pale with fear. Ling Er coldly said, Lu Shoulin defied imperial authority, disrupted military affairs, sheltered Turkic cavalry. Guards, take Censor Lu outside, beat him 20 times, strip him of his office, imprison him, and behead him in the West Market in 3 days. All the civil officials were shocked. Censor Lu trembled and looked at Wei Zheng with fear. Wei Zheng quickly stepped forward. Your Majesty, Lu Shoulin is a deputy censor. The censorate's duty is to speak frankly. Since it's frank advice, some mistakes are inevitable. Leaving aside the truth of the military report, in my view, Censor Lu was only doing his duty. If there's a mistake, it's mine, as the censorate's head who asked him to speak. Your Majesty, if you wish to punish someone regardless of the truth, then punish me too. He removed his official hat and looked straight at Ling Er. I am the mastermind behind Censor Lu's advice. I am deeply guilty. Please strip me of my position and behead me in the West Market. Ling Er frowned, pressing hard on the dragon table, eyes nearly spitting fire at Wei Zhang. The other censors all stepped forward. I'm also an accomplice. Please strip me of office and expel me from Chang'an. I second that. I second it too. Your Majesty established the censorate to allow frank advice. Now the person who speaks frankly is to be expelled. What's the point of the censorate then? We're willing to be exiled from Chang'an without complaint. Ling Er's expression shifted. He truly wanted to expel them all. But he couldn't. Doing so would cause too much damage. Even the scholars from the 5 surnames and 7 clans would turn against the court. The flow of talent into the government would be cut off. Please allow it, Your Majesty. Wei Zhang knelt, holding up his hat high. You're rebelling. Ling Er trembled with rage. Wei Zhang shook his head. Your Majesty, we are loyal. Please punish us as you see fit. Ling Er took a deep breath and waved his hand. Release Censor Lu. He is innocent. I was only angry just now. Censor Lu was released. Though greatly relieved, he still pleaded, please withdraw the order, Your Majesty. Don't risk Chang'an's defense for one man's safety. The others echoed. Please withdraw the order. Don't trade a small matter for a big one. I second it. Ling Er gritted his teeth. Censor Lu, I've already pardoned you. Don't push your luck. Wei Zhang said, Your Majesty, Censor Lu is right. I agree with him. Wei Zhang, are you trying to drive me mad? Ling Er trembled, nearly ordering his execution. Wei Zhang shook his head. I don't wish to anger Your Majesty. I only advise honestly. Why should that cause anger? Fine. You all want me to cancel the deployment? Very well. I will grant your wish. Ling Er nodded coldly, looking at Ling Jing. Ling Jing, personally go inform Wei Chide and Chang Yaojin to retreat. Take the tiger tally with you. Ling Jing sighed inwardly, gave a meaningful glance at the remonstrating officials, his face full of helplessness. The censors were visibly proud. See? Even the emperor bowed to the censorate and changed his mind. Ling Jing accepted the order, about to leave, when Ling Er suddenly asked, Ling Jing, I heard you fell off your horse yesterday and even killed the warhorse. Is that true? Ling Jing's eyes lit up. He quickly shook his head and said, Your Majesty, I'm fine. Then he limped shakily out of the Taiji Hall, casting a triumphant glance at the censors. That look nearly made them explode with anger. They suddenly realized, on the surface, they had won. In truth, Ling Er had won. By the time Ling Jing limped out of the palace, Ling Er had already finished his lunch. Chang'an City, the Zhangsun residence. Zhangsun Wuji returned home after the morning court session. Zhangsun Pingting immediately rushed to his study. Seeing Zhangsun Wuji, Zhangsun Pingting asked anxiously, Father, has Lord Qing's wife been found? Zhangsun Wuji looked complicated, more hesitant than anything. He slowly nodded and said, Lord Qing's wife has returned home. Zhangsun Pingting sighed in relief and smiled faintly. It's good she's home. Lord Qing and his wife are so loving. If she returned safely, Lord Qing must be very happy. Zhangsun Wuji hesitated, as if he wanted to speak but didn't know how. He knew his daughter liked Qing Xiuxiu. If he told her now that the man she liked had been taken to Qinling, the blow would be heavy. Zhangsun Pingting asked, puzzled, Father, is there something you want to say? I didn't plan to tell you, but this isn't really a secret. You'll find out sooner or later. Although Lord Qing's wife returned, it was because he voluntarily became a hostage in exchange for her. Zhangsun Pingting's body trembled, her face pale. He was taken. Zhangsun Wuji nodded. Father, I want to go to Sanha village. Without waiting for him to reply, Zhangsun Pingting ran out quickly. Pingting. Zhangsun Wuji chased after her and grabbed her, scolding. Sanha village is more than 30 li from Chang'an. Child, are you planning to run there? He turned to the gatekeeper and ordered, Old Zhang, prepare a carriage. Take the young lady to Sanha village. The gatekeeper immediately went to prepare the carriage. It was an hour later when they arrived at Sanha village. Zhangsun Pingting jumped off the carriage but lost her balance and fell. She didn't care about the dirt or pain, got up limping, and entered the courtyard. The gatekeeper Xuanzi saw her fall and walked up to ask, Miss Zhangsun, you just fell. Are you hurt? No. Where is Lady Qing? Zhangsun Pingting asked anxiously. At that moment, Su Xiaochun came out from the courtyard after hearing the noise. When she saw Zhangsun Pingting, her emotions were mixed. Lady Qing. Zhangsun Pingting stepped forward but pulled her wound, cried out in pain, and fell into Su Xiaochun's arms. Su Xiaochun quickly helped her and said with a complicated expression, Miss Zhangsun, why did you come? Zhang Sun Pingting said urgently, I heard from my father that Lord Qing was taken by bandits. I came to ask where he was taken. Has the household sent anyone to rescue him? If you lack manpower, I can send Zhang Sun family guards to help. Su Xiaochun didn't answer immediately but brushed off the dust from Zhang Sun Pingting's skirt. Seeing blood on her knee, Su Xiaochun quickly shouted, Yunyang, bring our medicine box. Zhang Sun Pingting shook her head, Lady Qing, I'm fine. Just tell me, where was Lord Qing taken? Seeing her so anxious, Su Xiaochun said bitterly, husband was taken to Qinling. His Majesty has already sent tens of thousands of left guard troops there. Whether he can be rescued depends on fate. No, impossible. Zhang Sun Pingting choked up, Lord Qing is blessed, nothing will happen to him. Su Xiaochun paused and then nodded firmly, yes, I believe he'll be fine. She suddenly felt more confident in Qing Xiu's abilities. He practiced with a saber. Others didn't know, but she knew well. Her husband's skill could defeat Ling Yuan's chief guard in one strike. Though he only knew one move at first, recently he had trained more. Seeing Su Xiaochun's confident look, Zhang Sun Pingting sighed in relief, Lady Qing, Lord Qing is your husband. You should believe in his skills. He'll be fine. Su Xiaochun said, let's not talk about that now. Your leg is hurt. Let's treat the wound first. She helped her into the inner room, and Yunyang brought the medicine box. Zhang Sun Pingting finally relaxed and felt the sharp pain in her leg. She winced, eyes tearing up. Su Xiaochun lifted her skirt. Her fair, slim leg had a bleeding scrape on the knee, bruised and purple all around. So serious? Su Xiaochun frowned, took gauze, dipped it in alcohol, and said, Miss Zhang Sun, the wound needs disinfecting. It'll hurt. Bear with it. Zhang Sun Pingting gritted her teeth and nodded. Once the alcohol touched the wound, she realized it was worse than she imagined. She screamed, body trembling, tears instantly streaming. Hold on. It'll be over soon. Su Xiaochun disinfected the wound, applied powder, and wrapped it with a thin silk cloth. Zhang Sun Pingting, pampered since birth, had never suffered like this. She lay on the bed, exhausted, breathing heavily. Yunyang packed up the medicine box. Su Xiaochun sat beside her and suddenly said, Miss Zhang Sun, I said some unpleasant things to you that day. I felt guilty. Please don't take it to heart. Zhang Sun Pingting quickly shook her head, Lady Qing, you were right. I was the one being unreasonable. Su Xiaochun said sincerely, I hope you can forgive my rudeness that day. You weren't wrong. I was. You don't need my forgiveness. Zhang Sun Pingting paused, then added, Lord Qing isn't here. I hope you can stay strong. You're pregnant, and he wouldn't want to see you worn down. Su Xiaochun nodded, looked at her, and suddenly asked, Miss Zhang Sun, do you like my husband very much? I don't. Zhang Sun Pingting blushed and denied, don't misunderstand, Lady Qing. Lord Qing and I are friends. He's been taken by bad people, of course I'm worried. Su Xiaochun sighed, if you like him, just admit it. Why hide? I do like Mr. Qing, Zhang Sun Pingting said softly, eyes full of sorrow. Su Xiaochun glanced at her injured knee and said, if you didn't like him, why be so worried? You were so anxious you hurt yourself. Your mother must be heartbroken. Zhang Sun Pingting said awkwardly, I was just stupid. I caused you trouble. I should go back. Su Xiaochun sighed, if my husband returns safely, I'll tell him what happened today. He values feelings and won't let Miss Zhang Sun down. What do you mean? Zhang Sun Pingting looked confused. Su Xiaochun tapped her head and smiled, you're really silly. But if Yunyang is this silly and my husband doesn't mind her, he won't mind you either. Yunyang blinked, why am I being dragged into this? Zhang Sun Pingting couldn't believe her ears. Pointing at herself, she stammered, Lady Qing, you mean, I. Su Xiaochun nodded and said sincerely, Sister Pingting, we'll be one family. When my husband returns, if you're willing, you can marry in any time. If not, just forget what I said. Either way, we'll be good friends. I'm willing. Zhang Sun Pingting sat up, nodding with tears in her eyes. All she wanted now was to be with the one she loved. Everything else didn't matter. Yunyang, who had been silent, hesitated, Xiaochun, Miss Zhang Sun is willing to marry as a concubine, but her father is a duke. Nobles care a lot about face. Even if she's willing. No, it's fine. Zhang Sun Pingting cried and laughed, shaking her head, my father won't mind. Yunyang nodded. Su Xiaochun said, now we just have to wait for my husband to come home. Once he does, I'll arrange the marriage. Zhang Sun Pingting blushed and nodded shyly. Qinling Mountains. A day passed, and it was getting dark. Mr. Tu found a mountain gully to rest for the night before continuing, and ordered everyone to stop and start cooking. No one had slept for 2 days and 1 night, and everyone was exhausted. Only Qingxiu was full of energy because he had slept all day on Tian Meng's back and had already recovered. Mr. Tu gave a meaningful look at Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro, then said, "I'll go check how dinner is going." After speaking, he walked toward the cooking area. He came to a young cook, dropped a packet of powder into his hand, and said softly, "Just don't put it in Lu Yunyan and her disciples' bowls." The cook silently opened the packet, poured the powder into 2 bowls, and mixed it into millet porridge. He didn't deliver it to Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro himself. Instead, he waited for others to take their food, then called over, "Miss Lu, Miss Xiaoro, are you eating or not? If you want to eat, come get it now. If not, I'll throw it all out." Lu Yunyan frowned and signaled to Shan Xiaoro. Shan Xiaoro brought back 2 ceramic bowls, handed one to Lu Yunyan, and they began eating with enjoyment. Qingxiu was eating crispy meat with one hand and big lobster piece by piece. He opened a wine jar, and the fragrance immediately spread, making all of Mr. Tu's people gulp with desire. Mr. Tu came over too, but didn't ask for wine. Qingxiu handed the wine jar to him and smiled, "Mr. Tu, thanks for taking care of me along the way. Give this wine to your people." There were about 5 or 6 jin of wine in the jar. If shared equally, each person could have 3 or 4 liang. He didn't believe they wouldn't get drunk from such strong liquor. Mr. Tu smiled and said, "Sir Qing's wine is like celestial nectar. I drink daily in Chang'an, but this isn't the time. Wait until you meet our sect leader, then we'll drink to celebrate. Our sect leader is very hospitable. He will surely like you." Qingxiu put the jar aside and asked, "Mr. Tu, can you tell me about your sect, Yin Men?" Mr. Tu thought for a moment and then smiled. "Yin Men is mysterious, but there's no harm in telling you. Our sect has a history of thousands of years. Its only purpose is to seek immortality." Qingxiu waited quietly, but there was no follow-up. "That's it?" Qingxiu asked, confused. "That's it?" Mr. Tu nodded, puzzled. "Isn't that enough?" Qingxiu felt like killing someone. He sighed, "I opened my heart and told you all my secrets about the path to immortality, and you give me just 2 vague sentences? Come on." Mr. Tu replied awkwardly, "Then what does Sir Qing want to know?" Qingxiu said, "Like, where is Yin Men located? How many members does it have? What is its hierarchy? Who is the sect leader? What's your position in it? We can talk about all that. Of course, if you think that's secret information, you don't have to say. I just thought it'd be interesting to chat." Qingxiu already knew there were more than just these people targeting him. He needed to understand them fully, so they wouldn't cause future trouble. If he could eliminate them completely, even better. Mr. Tu laughed, "That's no secret. Yin Men is everywhere, every corner of Great Tang has our people. Our sect has at least several thousand members, if not 10,000. Hearing that, Qingxiu's heart sank. He realized Yin Men might be difficult to deal with. Mr. Tu continued, "As for hierarchy, it's simple. Besides the old sect leader and the young one, we have several consecrators. I, for example, am a consecrator. Other than us, ordinary members aren't qualified to meet the sect leaders." When he spoke of the old and young sect leaders, Mr. Tu's face showed reverence. Qingxiu asked casually, "You respect them a lot?" "Of course," Mr. Tu said emotionally. "To inherit the leadership of Yin Men, the requirements are very strict. Only those with the purest and noblest bloodlines can lead. Such lineage is rare in the world." "Oh?" Qingxiu was intrigued. "Do tell." Mr. Tu nodded. "The sect leader must marry a blood relative. The previous sect leader had a son with his own aunt. The current leader then had twins, a boy and girl, with his own elder sister. The boy will be the next leader." Qingxiu's jaw dropped in shock. "What the hell? Marrying your aunt? Your sister? That's incest on top of incest. Don't they know blood relatives shouldn't marry? Aren't they afraid of birth defects? Genetics is complicated and mysterious. Close blood relations are very likely to produce defects. Could the sect leaders themselves be deformed?" Seeing Qingxiu's stunned face, Mr. Tu proudly said, "People think blood relatives shouldn't marry, but children born this way are all extraordinary. The young sect leader is now an adult and is set to marry his twin sister before year's end. It's the first time our sect has combined dragon and phoenix twins. We don't know what kind of genius offspring they'll produce." As he spoke, Mr. Tu looked envious and hopeful. Qingxiu's lips twitched nonstop. Good heavens. He could only think, good heavens. This kind of practice, won't it ruin them? A dragon-phoenix twin marriage, he couldn't even imagine the scene. Birth defects were certain. Mr. Tu stood up and said, "All right, I've told you everything you wanted to know. We'll stay in Qinling for another 10 days or so. When the other consecrators arrive, I'll take you to meet the old sect leader." Qing Xiu nodded, noticing Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiao chatting and laughing nearby. He smiled faintly. The two didn't know their food had already been drugged. Qing Xiu smiled and asked the master and disciple, "Ladies, would you like some lobster? I can't finish it all. It'd be a waste." Lu Yunyan didn't move, but Shan Xiao looked eager. Lu Yunyan said softly, "If you want some, go." "Master, I'll bring you some too," Shan Xiao said, walking over. "No need, I'll go with you." Lu Yunyan followed Shan Xiao. Shan Xiao smirked, she'd seen her master act like this many times. Saying no, but the body is honest. But when Shan Xiao came within 5 steps of Qing Xiu, her body suddenly went limp, and she collapsed, eyes full of fear. Lu Yunyan stepped forward but also felt weak and fell beside Shan Xiao. Her beautiful face under the veil filled with terror. "Tu Qingshan, you drugged us?" Lu Yunyan asked, trembling. Shan Xiao shouted, "Master, you mean that old Tu guy drugged us?" "Why?" Lu Yunyan gritted her teeth, "Tu Qingshan, why did you drug us?" Mr. Tu smiled, walked over, and looked down on them with disdain. "You people from Jiujiang Miao village think you can set foot in Bayou capital? Dream on. To become immortals of Bayou capital, only our Yin Men members are worthy. No one else has a chance." Qing Xiu smiled, watching everything like a god. He had the mindset of someone watching a show, sitting on the mountain watching the tigers fight. "What kind of drug did you give us?" Lu Yunyan asked sternly. Tu Qingshan dug in his ear and smiled, "A secret bone-softening powder from Yin Men. After ingesting it, within 10 to 12 hours, the body becomes weak and limp, losing all mobility, just like a fish on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered." "Tian Meng." Tu Qingshan called out. "Master, your command." Tian Meng stepped up respectfully. Tu Qingshan waved his hand emotionlessly, "Kill them." Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiao's pupils shrank. "Master. I don't want to die," Shan Xiao said, trembling, choking on her words. No one can face the fear of death calmly. After all, Shan Xiao was just a girl of 18 or 19. Lu Yunyan shouted, "Tu Qingshan, have you thought about the consequences of killing us? If we die, the Miao village won't let you off." Tu Qingshan seemed too lazy to argue and simply waved coldly. Tian Meng raised his knife and stepped forward. Lu Yunyan trembled and said, "Tu Qingshan, Mr. Tu, you can kill me. I won't resent you. My disciple is young, only 18. Do whatever you want to me, just please let Xiao go. I promise she won't report this to Miao village, and no one will retaliate." Qing Xiu tilted his head with interest as he watched Lu Yunyan. Whatever else, she seemed loyal and righteous. To sacrifice herself for her disciple, this was rare and admirable. Tu Qingshan said with disdain, "You think I'm afraid of your Miao village? Killing the two of you here, no one will know, no one will find out. But letting her go? That's leaving behind a hidden threat. Tian Meng, what are you waiting for? Do it, before something unexpected happens." Tian Meng, expressionless, raised his knife. Lu Yunyan closed her eyes in pain. Shan Xiao wailed in terror. Every cry stabbed at Lu Yunyan's heart. Tian Meng swung his knife. Just as Lu Yunyan thought she would be beheaded, another blade stopped Tian Meng's knife. Tian Meng looked coldly at Fang Zhe and said, "Fang Zhe, what's the meaning of this?" Fang Zhe smiled as he held Tian Meng's blade, his eyes roaming over the beautiful master and disciple. He turned to Tu Qingshan, "Old Tu, isn't it a waste to kill these two just like that? Why not hand them over to me?" Tu Qingshan frowned. "Fang Zhe, what do you want?" Fang Zhe licked his lips, eyes lewd as they wandered. "We brothers have been on this mission for over a month. We've held back long enough. Lu Yunyan and her disciple are quite pretty. Killing them now is a waste. Better to let the brothers enjoy them first, then kill them." Tu Qingshan said harshly, "Nonsense. Fang Zhe, such vile thoughts disgrace Yin Men. If you say one more word, I'll kill you too." Fang Zhe sneered, "You may be a consecrator, and I show you respect, calling you Mr. Tu, but I'm with the young master. You don't command me." "You're outrageous," Tu Qingshan said, furious. Fang Zhe replied coldly, "What? You really dare strike me? The old sect master is old and weak. Even if he becomes immortal, he'll remain in Bayou capital. Yin Men will be handed over to the young master eventually. Tu Qingshan, do you really think the old master will take you with him? Don't dream. As Qing Xiu said, not everyone can become immortal. You're more likely to stay in the mortal world. When the young master takes over Yin Men, who do you old consecrators rely on? Do I need to spell it out?" Tu Qingshan's expression shifted uncertainly. Tian Meng looked at him for instructions. If ordered, he'd eliminate Fang Zhe at once. Lu Yunyan turned pale with fear. She wasn't afraid to die, but to be violated before death, she couldn't accept that. "Mr. Tu, please kill us now. Please show mercy," Shan Xiao begged. To fall into Fang Zai's hands meant being violated before death, clearly the worst fate. But Tu Qingshan relaxed his face and nodded at Fang Zai, "They're yours. Make it quick." Fang Zai grinned, bowed, "Thank you, Mr. Tuesday. I'll put in a good word for you with the young master." Tu Qingshan forced a smile and said no more. Fang Zai put his knife behind him, rubbing his hands as he walked toward the women. 4 young men followed, excited and expectant. Lu Yunyan shut her eyes in pain, tears falling. Shan Xiaoro also wept. Qing Xiu slowly stood up, "Mr. Tu, I have a presumptuous request." Tu Qingshan gestured politely, "Sir Qing, please speak." Qing Xiu smiled, "Just now, I heard Brother Fang Zai say this master and disciple are beautiful. I've become a bit tempted too. May I go first?" Tu Qingshan's eyes widened in disbelief. Tian Meng was stunned. Fang Zai's expression turned dark. Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro's eyes widened in horror and disgust. Tu Qingshan twitched, "Sir Qing, I didn't expect you to be such a person." Qing Xiu smirked, "Why else do you think the sect master deemed me impure and expelled me from Bayou capital?" Tu Qingshan looked enlightened. He turned to Fang Zai, seeking his opinion. Fang Zai said coldly, "Sir Qing, wait until I'm done. Then you can do whatever you like." Qing Xiu frowned, "Mr. Fang, I'm clean. I won't touch your leftovers. I want to go first." Tu Qingshan supported him, "Fang Zai, Sir Qing is a guest personally invited by the old sect master. There are many beautiful women, why not let him go first? If the old or young sect master finds out you disrespected Sir Qing over this, you'll be in trouble." Fang Zai changed his expression and bowed to Qing Xiu, "Since you're our honored guest, please go first. You 4, take them to a secluded area. After Sir Qing is done, it's our turn." The 4 men carried Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro toward a wooded area. Lu Yunyan trembled and cursed, "Bastards. You scum. Especially you, blind fool. How dare you repay kindness with betrayal? Fang Zai wanted to sleep with your wife last night. I begged to protect her. I carried her back for you, and this is how you repay me. I'll haunt you forever. Ah. Let me go, you bastards." Hearing this, Qing Xiu locked his spirit sense on Fang Zai. A fierce killing intent exploded in his heart. Fang Zai sensed the chill, saw Qing Xiu's grim face, and quickly said, "Sir Qing, it's all a misunderstanding. I admit I had thoughts, but I never touched your wife. When Lu Yunyan spoke up, I handed her over right away." "Oh?" Qing Xiu smiled faintly. "Then I should thank you." "Hee, not at all. I'll thank you, with 80 or so cuts." "Huh? What do you mean?" Fang Zai asked, puzzled. But Qing Xiu had already drawn his saber. With a whoosh, Fang Zai felt his body drop. His legs were suddenly in excruciating pain. He looked down and saw his legs had been severed at the knees. The slash was as fast as lightning, barely a blink. Before he could scream, the black-clad blind man leapt past him like a ghost. With a few whoosh 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 sounds, the 4 young men carrying the women were beheaded instantly. The others hadn't even realized what happened, it was all too fast. Tu Qingshan and Tian Meng's eyes widened in horror. They were top-tier experts, and even they could see just how terrifying those few strikes were, terrifying enough to cause despair. For headless bodies spurted blood like fountains, the severed necks gushing like erupting volcanoes, and the blood fell like rain. In the midst of the blood rain, Qing Xiu's black robe was dyed dark red. Hot blood splashed all over Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro. Both cried out and closed their eyes. When they opened their eyes again, they saw the blind man standing with his back to them, facing Tu Qingshan and the others. Tu Qingshan, snapping out of it, was furious and roared, "Be on guard. This blind man is a martial arts master, extremely skilled. Everyone, be careful." Only then did the others react, hastily drawing their weapons, quickly positioning themselves on either side of Tu Qingshan and Tian Meng. Damn, such ruthless swordsmanship. I've never seen sword skills like this in my life. Isn't he blind? How can his strikes be so fast and accurate? Everyone was puzzled. The man had black cloth over his eyes, even if not blind, he couldn't see, yet every strike was perfectly precise. This blind man had shattered their understanding of the visually impaired, and that's what made him terrifying. Tian Meng narrowed his eyes and said seriously, "Master, he was hiding his strength, he's been faking all along." Qing Xiu said coldly, "You all can become fertilizer for this rich soil." With that, he moved like a ghost into the crowd. At this point, he had no reason to hold back. Tian Meng gasped, "So fast." Faced with a downward slash, Tian Meng raised his blade to block. The clash of steel rang out as he staggered back 3 steps, horrified. Looking at his blade, he saw it was nearly broken. Tian Meng was shaken. That one strike was the strongest he'd ever encountered, far beyond his strength. Failing to kill him in one blow, Qing Xiu immediately targeted the people beside Tian Meng. Since Tian Meng could take a full force strike, he couldn't be finished off quickly. The priority was to reduce the enemy's numbers. Qing Xiu spun with momentum, sweeping his blade. Swish swish, one head fell, and another was nearly severed, hanging by flesh. Tu Qingshan barked, "Tian Meng, stop him." He too drew his blade and chased after Qing Xiu. Tian Meng followed closely. But by now, darkness had fallen, and visibility was low. Everyone's vision was obstructed. Tu Qingshan shouted, "Kill him. No survivors. Darkness doesn't affect the blind, but it weakens us. We can't let him drag this into the night." He raised his blade and slashed toward Qing Xiu's head. Tu Qingshan expected to smash his skull like a watermelon. But in the next instant, the blind man ducked as if he had eyes on the back of his head, lay back smoothly, and countered with a slash. Slice. That strike left a deep gash in Tu Qingshan's abdomen. He gasped and stepped back. But that step gave Qing Xiu an opening. He struck like lightning, killing 2 more on the spot. Tu Qingshan looked extremely grim. He didn't care about these men, but they had come 15 strong. Now 8 were dead, 1 disabled, and only 6 remained, including himself and Tian Meng. To be butchered like vegetables by a single blind man, who could bear that? No, only 5 remained. Because in that moment, another had fallen to Qing Xiu's blade. Tu Qingshan's face darkened. He roared, "Scatter. Save yourselves. Whoever escapes Qinling must deliver the immortal method to the old sect master. Tian Meng, hold him off, cover my retreat." Tian Meng paused, clearly unhappy. "Retreat? You're all surrounded by me. No one's getting away today." Qing Xiu sneered, then chased after Tu Qingshan. He understood the principle, capture the leader first. Seeing this, Tian Meng hesitated, then turned and ran in the opposite direction, yelling, "Master, I'm the fastest here. Stall him a bit. I'll return to Yinmen and tell the old master the secret of immortality." Tu Qingshan almost coughed up blood. Qing Xiu smirked, "What a loving master and disciple. Every man for himself in a crisis." As for the small fry, 1 or 2 escaping didn't matter. But Tu Qingshan, the mastermind, must not be spared. Though old, Tu Qingshan still had strong martial arts. He managed to run for a tease time. If he were younger, Qing Xiu might have had to chase him half an hour. But Tu Qingshan's stamina had clearly declined. He looked back. The blind man was only a few steps behind. Panicked, Tu Qingshan shouted, "Blind man. Don't you have any respect for elders? Chasing down an old man like me, isn't that shameful?" Qing Xiu snorted coldly, "This is the price for messing with me. Then I'll fight you." Tu Qingshan suddenly turned and slashed. Qing Xiu sidestepped and countered. Tu Qingshan raised his blade but was weaker than Tian Meng. His weapon was knocked 4 to 5 meters away, stopping only after hitting a tree. He grunted, flipped over, and kicked the tree trunk. Crack! The thick tree snapped and fell toward Qing Xiu. Taking advantage of the obstacle, Tu Qingshan turned and ran. Every few steps, he kicked down a tree to block Qing Xiu's path. He broke over a dozen trees. Sweating all over, he gasped heavily. Qing Xiu, on the other hand, was calm, barely winded, only slightly elevated heart rate. "I'll die with you." Tu Qingshan finally couldn't take it anymore and charged with red eyes, attacking recklessly. To be fair, this method worked. Qing Xiu could kill him, but would likely get hurt. For a moment, they were evenly matched. Clang clang clang. Blades clashed, sparks flying. Slash. A careless moment, Qing Xiu's blade struck Tu Qingshan's shoulder, almost severing the arm. He screamed, rolled on the ground, and held his blade with his other hand. Qing Xiu knocked the weapon away and stepped forward, pressing on Tu's arm. With a flick, he chopped off Tu Qingshan's left hand. "Ah? Sir Qing, spare me, have mercy." Qing Xiu said coldly, "You killed 9 of my men. 1 life isn't enough. And you want mercy?" Tu Qingshan, terrified, begged, "It was the old master's order, I'm just a pawn. I'm over 80. Won't killing me shame you? Shame your mother." Qing Xiu raised his blade, slash, and cut open Tu Qingshan's throat. He made gurgling sounds as he died. In that instant, Qing Xiu felt a massive change. His godlike vision suddenly expanded from 400 meters to nearly double. Damn, killing increases my abilities? Not only did his vision grow, his stamina, strength, and senses were enhanced. Even his previous fatigue vanished. He was ecstatic. If this was the case, he wouldn't mind killing more. Qing Xiu sheathed his blade and walked back without looking back. Returning to the starting point, Fang Zhe was nowhere to be seen. Only a pair of severed legs and 2 blood trails remained. In the dark, a normal person couldn't see a thing, but with God vision, Qing Xiu wasn't normal. Hearing footsteps, Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro didn't dare breathe, silently praying he couldn't see them. The steps came closer, their hearts raced. Then the steps suddenly turned and walked away. They both sighed in relief. When the steps faded completely, Shan Xiaoro said excitedly, "He's gone, master. We're safe. When it's light and we regain strength, we can leave." Lu Yunyan, worried, said, "Xiaoro, don't celebrate yet. The blood here is thick, Qinling is full of wild beasts. We could attract them." "Master, don't scare me," Shan Xiaoro said, trembling and tearful. "If beasts came, they'd be eaten alive, bones and all." Imagining that gruesome scene, both girls turned pale. Howl! Suddenly, a tiger's roar echoed from the nearby forest. Qing Xiu followed the blood trail for several hundred meters, and his spiritual sense locked onto Fang Zhe, who had lost both legs. What surprised him was that Fang Zhe was sitting on the ground, swinging a large blade, engaged in a fierce fight with a tiger. Fang Zhe was a skilled fighter. Even with his legs severed, he moved nimbly on the ground, dodging the tiger's attacks with great difficulty each time and even landing cuts on the tiger's body. The tiger roared in anger, launching crazed attacks on the seemingly helpless prey before it. "D!" Fang Zhe roared, flipped over, and stabbed with his blade. With a dull thud, the blade sank into the tiger's neck. The large tiger fell to the ground, let out a few whimpers, convulsed violently, its whip-like tail lashing around, and after a moment, it stopped moving. Fang Zhe sat there panting heavily, his face showing relief at having survived. He pulled out the blade and hacked at the tiger's head a few more times, laughing viciously, "Damn blind man picking a fight with me, even you beast, have it in for me. If you've got the guts, come at me again, huh?" Clap, clap, clap. Qing Xiu clapped from a distance as he approached, saying, "Man versus tiger, truly thrilling. I didn't expect that even with both legs cut off, you could still fight a tiger alone." Fang Zhe felt a chill in his heart and looked terrified. He began crawling forward frantically. Qing Xiu strode toward him. "Blind man, it's you?" Fang Zhe turned over, sat up, held up his blade, and looked at him in horror. Tu Qingshan and Tian Meng, those two useless fools, couldn't even handle a blind man, utter trash, garbage. He muttered while waving his blade and retreating. Qing Xiu drew his cane saber. With one strike, he sliced off Fang Zhe's arm. Fang Zhe screamed, the sound echoed through the forest. With another slash, Qing Xiu cut off his other arm, leaving Fang Zhe half a human pig. A human pig means severing limbs, cutting ears, nose, eyes, and tongue. So far, only his arms and legs were gone, still halfway to being a human pig. "Blind man." Fang Zhe howled in pain, "Killing should be swift, I admit defeat. Please just finish me off quickly." Qing Xiu said coldly, "I told you I'd thank you with 80 to 100 cuts." Soon after, a series of screams echoed through the forest. Even from far away, Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro heard the blood-curdling cries and looked terrified. They clearly recognized it was Fang Zhe's screams. It was obvious, the one torturing him was the blind man. After 100 strikes, Fang Zhe was barely breathing. Qing Xiu dealt the final blow and was about to leave when something rustled in a grass nest nearby. A young beast made a few cries. Qing Xiu frowned and walked over with his blade. He parted the grass with the tip of his blade and saw a small yellow-furred, black-striped body crawling inside the nest. A tiger cub? It was a rocky spot with a shelter beneath, a few meters down, with dried grass inside. Clearly, this was the den of the tiger just killed. And this cub was its offspring. Scanning the area with spiritual sense, Qing Xiu confirmed there were no other living beings within 800 meters. He squatted down, picked up the cub, and examined it. Its eyes weren't even open and it squirmed in his hand. He could tell, it wasn't even a week old. At this age, even with a father tiger, it would die quickly without milk. Qing Xiu held the cub and brought it to the dead mother tiger, placing it down. The cub immediately began suckling. Qing Xiu hesitated, then pieced together Fang Zhe's severed arms, placed the blade in his hand, and stuck the blade into the wound on the mother tiger's neck. Satisfied, he nodded. A trap must look real. Who knows if the father tiger would come for revenge after finding its mate dead and following the cub's scent. If that happened, the misunderstanding would be serious. If you want revenge, go find him. Qing Xiu waited for the cub to finish feeding, then picked it up and left. Back at the original site, Qing Xiu sat on a rock. Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiaoro dared not breathe, their hearts pounding. After resting, Qing Xiu put down the cub and walked toward them. "It's over, he's coming." The master and disciple felt a wave of despair. Qing Xiu stopped before them, looked down, and said, "Tu Qingshan is dead." Tian Meng and the others ran off. Shan Xiaoro breathed heavily, too afraid to speak. Lu Yunyan sighed, "Congratulations, you're free. Kill us or not, do as you will." Just, before I die, please don't defile me. And, my disciple wasn't part of this. Could you spare her? Her tone was full of pleading. Master. Shan Xiao sobbed, if we die together. I won't leave you behind. Qing Xiu drew his saber, lifted Lu Yunyan's chin with the blades back, and said coldly, tell me every detail of your involvement. I'll decide your death based on your crimes. He had already learned the backstory while torturing Fang Zhe. Now he wanted to verify what was true. Lu Yunyan braced herself and shut her eyes. We'll die either way. What's the difference? Just kill us, no need for more words. Oh? Qing Xiu sneered. If you speak, you'll die with dignity. If not, you'll lose your purity and be stripped and left exposed. Lu Yunyan trembled and said in despair, we're from West River Miao Village. I met Tu Qingshan once. We chatted briefly when we met again. During that talk, we mentioned your poem about Bayou Capital. Our chief always pursued immortality. When we learned of Tu Qingshan's plan, we asked to join. He agreed. We were just nominal collaborators. All decisions came from Tu Qingshan and Fang Zhe. My disciple and I only gathered intel. We didn't take part in kidnapping your wife, we didn't even know about it until after she was taken. Shan Xiao quickly added, Sir Qing, my master and I really didn't know about Tu's plan. We were just errand runners. As for the kidnapping, we weren't involved. Actually, that Fang Zhe tried to violate your wife several times. My master couldn't bear it and stopped him many times, even fought him. I swear it's all true. If I lie, let me die horribly. If you must kill someone, kill me, spare my master who saved your wife. Qing Xiu sneered, so many fools in this world. There are no immortals. There's no way to live forever. If such a path existed, I'd already be immortal. You think it's for fools like you? He took belts from the corpses, braided 2 ropes, and tied the women tightly. Perhaps influenced by movies, the binding method was a bit shameful. Shan Xiao asked tremblingly, are you tying us to take us out of the mountains? You're not killing us. Qing Xiu teased, little girl, are you dreaming? Me not killing you doesn't mean you'll live. What do you mean? Lu Yunyan asked, panicked. Qing Xiu tied the other ends of the ropes to a tree, then picked up the tiger cub and said, I'll kill everyone involved, including you too. Their hearts turned cold. Qing Xiu continued, since you have a bit of conscience, I won't kill you myself. But your blood will draw beasts to tear you apart. If not, the cub's father will chew you into bones. In the darkness, 2 terrified pairs of eyes stared at Qing Xiu, thinking the same word, demon. He was a demon. Qing Xiu turned to leave. Lu Yunyan screamed, blind man. Must you be so cruel? You might as well give us a quick death. Qing Xiu said coldly, killing 2 powerless women myself would haunt my dreams. I'm not a saint. If I can, I'll be a vengeful king of hell. With that, he walked away, to finish the job. The master and disciple spent the entire night in terror. When the sky turned pale, more than a dozen wolves appeared nearby. Exhausted, the 2 were instantly filled with dread, pale from fear. Old Cheng, dawn is coming. It's been a full day and night. Could the Marquis of Qing already have met a tragic end? Yu Qigong, tall and dark-skinned, sighed and asked. Behind him and Cheng Yaojin was a mass of soldiers advancing fast in a grid-like search pattern. Cheng Yaojin said in a low voice, Blackie, the Emperor's order was, alive or dead, bring back the body. Even if Qing Ho is dead, we still carry his corpse back. Ah? Yu Qigong closed his eyes painfully. Such a fine youth, such a rare talent for the Tang. If he has truly perished, it would be a tragedy for the Tang. Cheng Yaojin took a bite of his dry cracker, then said, keep moving quickly. Eat as you march. Line everyone up in rows and search like fishing in shallow water, don't miss any clue. We rest only after nightfall. Old Black, dawn is nearly here. We must press forward before daylight. All right? Yu Qigong nodded, and the 2 quickened their pace. After about a stick of incense time, several soldiers carried in a body with a severed, blood-soaked arm. 2 generals, we found a corpse ahead. Yu Qigong and Cheng Yaojin hurried to inspect. After checking, Cheng Yaojin's face darkened. The body is cold, probably died last night. Keep searching, speed up. We're likely not far. Just then, chilling screams sounded nearby, piercing in nature, and birds in the area scattered immediately. Cheng Yaojin and Yu Qi exchanged glances. They drew their tang blades and rushed toward the source. When they arrived, they saw wolves circling 2 collapsed, bloody figures, sniffing. Some wolves already started tearing at their blood-stained garments. Women? Their brows knitted. In the wilderness, and there are women here. Never mind, first drive off the wolves. Yu Qigong charged forward with his blade, shouting. The pack fled, tails between their legs. When the 2 got close, they were shocked. 8 corpses lay scattered. Some had no heads, some were intact, and one had flesh still connected at the neck, the head lying off to one side. They noticed 2 women covered in blood, tightly bound like bundles, ropes tied to a tree. Gong gasped. His eyelid twitched. Who is this cruel? Tying 2 live women here so tightly, no escape at all. Yuchi's jaw dropped. Old Cheng, they intend to feed them to wolves. Lu Yunyan and Shan Xiao, relieved the wolves had scattered, began to cry tears of joy, but soon noticed the dark and light-skinned armored middle-aged men approaching. Could it be that releasing wolves was worse than the lion's den? Gong bent forward and harshly asked, "You two, speak plainly, where is Marquis Qing? And what happened here? Why so many corpses?" Chang Yaojin also asked. Lu Yunyan, still trembling but relieved, explained, "We don't know whose bodies these are. That woman is my niece. We came from West River to Chang'an to travel but were captured to be meat horses, used by these people." Meat horses? Chang Yaojin's pupils narrowed. He nodded slowly. Gong drew his blade and hacked at a corpse. "You bastards, capturing women to be meat horses, those bandits are no different from mountain robbers." Meat horse, a term bandits used for kidnapped women meant solely to satisfy carnal needs, used until worn out and then discarded. Such atrocities happened often in unrest, even in the prosperous Xinguan era. Bandits in remote areas still took young women for this purpose. Chang Yaojin's eyes lit up with insight as he squinted. "Continue." Lu Yunyan continued, "They drugged us with bone-softening powder so we couldn't move, bound us here. They also captured a blind man, but that blind man was powerful. Last night he attacked suddenly and killed half their group." Gong and Cheng Yaojin exchanged incredulous looks. A blind man, Marquis Qing, with such martial prowess? Unheard of. And where is that blind man? Cheng Yaojin asked again. Lu Yunyan shook her head. "I don't know. A few escaped, he went after them." "Oi," the 2 generals gasped. Gong pulled Cheng aside, lowering his voice. "Old Cheng, Marquis Qing pursued so many men, can you believe it?" Chang Yaojin's expression turned strange. "What? You don't believe it? Among people we know, who else could it be? He's the only blind man." Gong suddenly sighed in admiration. "He's blind, and yet these corpses were all strong, supple bodies. All fierce fighters capable of taking on dozens, but he, a blind man, chased and slew them. It's unimaginable, a blind man wielding a blade, chasing down fully able martial artists?" Chang Yaojin smiled and said, "Given how things unfolded, we needn't worry about him now. If he doesn't go looking for trouble, those aggressors couldn't handle him. In fact, he probably killed them all. Heh, now I understand why he'd sacrifice himself to exchange for his wife. He's clearly a killing genius." Gong rubbed his fists with excitement. "When he returns to Chang'an, I'll spar with him, won't go easy just because he's blind. That he hid such skill, his heart is praiseworthy, truly praiseworthy, haha." Chang Yaojin scoffed and returned to Lu Yunyan. He narrowed his eyes, leaned forward, and sneered, "Little girl, do you think we'd believe your lies?" Lu Yunyan panicked. "Sir, every word I said is true. Not a single lie." Chang Yaojin sneered back. "Let me tell you where your flaws lie." He pointed at the bodies. A woman from an ordinary home, kidnapped as a meat horse, would naturally show fear, panic, despair, and profound relief when rescued. But you appeared too calm. That calmness proves, you're not an ordinary woman. You've seen similar scenes. And a gentle woman staying composed among so many corpses, speaking coherently, makes you anything but ordinary. And you said Marquis Qing chased the bandits. From what I know, he's clever. Could he not foresee that leaving you tied here would get you eaten by wolves? If those bandits captured you, Marquis Qing, driven by hatred, would have freed your ropes before leaving, even if he couldn't escort you out of Qinling. But he didn't. He deliberately left you here as wolf fodder. Am I right?" Chang Yaojin's sharp eyes fixed on the 2 women. Lu Yunyan opened her mouth but found no words. She was mortified and caught in that accusation. Although Chang Yaojin was rough and nicknamed the Mischief King, he was no fool. He had great wisdom and meticulous attention to detail. Gong glared and angrily said, "You lying bitches. Dare you fool us? Speak honestly, or I'll introduce you to military torture." Lu Yunyan looked bitter. "I'll tell everything." She recounted the whole story, describing even the cruel feeding to the beasts in detail. Chang Yaojin clicked his tongue. TSK, so there really is a path to immortality? A way to prolong life? Lu Yunyan sighed. Marquis Qing said before he left, "There is no immortal, no method to live forever. It's all fantasy. If it existed, he'd already be immortal. Would men like you even matter?" Gong nodded in satisfaction, and looked over at Cheng with complex emotion. Old Cheng, wasn't Marquis Qing cruel? Leaving two beautiful girls in the wilderness to feed wolves, its merciless destruction of flowers. Cruel? Cheng shook his head. Not cruel at all. He must have had good reason. What reason? Cheng Yaojin rubbed his chin and said softly, Old Black, you've surely heard, once bitten by a snake, you're cautious of ropes for 10 years. A proverb indeed. Cheng explained, Marquis Qing made that gesture to send a warning to the organization behind these men, anyone plotting against him would face the same. He's showing them, mess with me, and you'll have no outcome. I see now. Yu Qigong finally realized. Cheng Yaojin said to one deputy, Huzi, take 100 soldiers and escort these two women back to the Chang'an Dali temple. Let His Majesty decide their fate. Also stir rumors that Marquis Qing left them to wolves. If that spreads, those coveting the immortality technique from Marquis Qing will think twice. Yes, General. Huzi led over 100 troops back. Yu Qigong asked, Old Cheng, what now? What else? Keep moving, until we find Marquis Qing. At their command, the 40,000-strong force resumed its grid search. Chang'an. Dali Temple Minister Daizhou hurried into the Taiji Hall with a left-guard soldier. When Ling Er heard the report, he immediately rushed to the hall and found that accompanying Daizhou were Cheng Yaojin's personal guards. Ling Er suspiciously asked, Song Hu, didn't you go to Qinling with Cheng Yaojin? How are you back so fast? Could it be news of the Marquis Qing? He asked, suddenly hopeful. Song Hu cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, we now have news of Marquis Qing. He then recounted what happened in Qinling. Ling Er's eyes widened in shock. You're saying the blind Marquis Qing pursued dozens of hidden sect masters and cut them down? Song Hu's account had already been exaggerated, but by the time it reached Ling Er, it sounded like myth. Ling Er's expression was priceless. Song Hu added excitedly, Your Majesty, this is real. 2 female convict prisoners sent to Dali Temple told it themselves. He was at the scene. The 2 women described in vivid detail how Qing Xiu cut through people like slicing vegetables. Everyone present was astounded, even feeling blind admiration. A blind man chasing and cutting dozens of able-bodied masters, that sounded like a legend. The more it was retold, the more believable it became. Ling Er suddenly squinted and laughed. I didn't expect Marquis Qing to be so hidden. Though he appears blind, his ears are magical. Truly astonishing. But, Ling Er furrowed his brow, meaningfully adding, to feed 2 living women to wolves, that truly shows ruthless cruelty. Song Hu cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, General Cheng says Marquis Qing did that to send a warning to those behind them. He is not someone to be provoked. Provoke him, and you pay dearly. Ling Er relaxed his brow, seeming enlightened. He murmured, Does immortality really exist in this world? Song Hu replied, The female convicts said Marquis Qing told them there are no immortals, no techniques to live forever. If such existed, he would already be immortal, and none of this would matter. Ling Er paused and nodded, That is true. Then he looked at Daizhou and said, Daizhou, secretly detain the 2 female convicts. When Marquis Qing returns, let him decide their fate. This must not leak. As for the warning effect from his display of power. He pondered, then said to Song Hu, do not publicize this. Why? Song Hu asked in confusion. Ling Er frowned. He is a marquis, a celebrated noble in Guangzhou. Such harsh methods, if publicized, would harm his reputation. He could even face impeachment. The impact on his prestige would be too great. This must not be undertaken. Song Hu felt an itching unease but bowed. If His Majesty has spoken, he must comply. After sending off Daizhou and Song Hu, Ling Er returned to the rear palace. Empress Zhangsun approached with a slightly furrowed brow. Your Majesty, to strike down a Tang noble is capital offense, especially one a marquis. They should be publicly beheaded. Why give the convicts to Marquis Qing for disposal? Ling Er shook his head. Killing these civilian organization agents is easy, but stopping their network is difficult. If their sect is offended, they will retaliate fiercely, making matters worse than it's worth. As for giving them to Marquis Qing, that's simple. This event gave me more understanding of him. He is not the gentle harmless man he appears. On the contrary, his ruthless side matches his capacity to benefit the people. He is not to be underestimated. Clearly, Marquis Qing is not someone to test with weakness. I intend to use such a rare talent to build the flourishing Zhenguan era. Simple friendliness is not enough. Letting him handle the convicts is a gesture of goodwill, showing the royal court values him enough. That way, even if he doesn't fully serve the Tang, he won't oppose the court. Empress Zhangsun nodded lightly. Your Majesty's reasoning is correct. I spoke too hastily. Ling Er sighed. I hope Cheng Yaojin and Yu Qigong can bring Marquis Qing back from Qinling safely. 3 days later. Qing Xiu held a tiger cub and led a wild mountain goat by rope. He had captured the mother goat from the herd. It produced milk. The cub was now fully open-eyed, clingy to him and toddling adorably. Qing Xiu roasted a wild rabbit in a mountain ravine, sprinkled with fine salt, rich in color, aroma, and taste. Meanwhile, he watched two men with his god's eye view from about 10 meters away. One was Tian Meng, the other a hidden sect member whom Qing Xiu nearly lost in the chase. Other sect members had been killed before they could regroup. With Qing Xiu's current strength, a surprise attack would end both men easily. He had not killed them yet because he overheard Tian Meng's remarks before attacking. Those comments revealed the hidden sect's junior sect leader was waiting near Mount Taibai for a meet-up. Qing Xiu scrapped his plan to kill them, for now. He had already planned something perfect. The sect operates under single succession. If he could capture the junior sect leader alive, the senior sect leader, keen to preserve the sect's lineage, would avoid bringing trouble. This tactic was used by Chao some years ago. This is, using the emperor to command the princes. From Lantian to Mount Taibai is about 30 li. Tian Meng's leg strength was formidable, running faster than Qing Xiu's shoes could fall off. To develop such leg power is terrifying. As for swordsmanship, two Tian Mengs together still could not beat Qing Xiu, but in escape, he's nearly unstoppable. Tian Meng did not know all his movements were observed by someone overpowered by monitoring. He had no idea Qing Xiu had caught up and identified them. Tian Meng was chatting casually with the other sect member. Tian Gu, that blind man is terrifying, Master 2 is likely dead. Tian Meng nodded calmly, not maybe, he is already dead. The blind man's saber skill and strength are world rare. If I hadn't run fast, I too would have died by his blade. Master was powerful, but at 80 plus, his stamina failed him. Dying by the blind man's hand was inevitable. Tian Gu, weren't you master and disciple? Why aren't you saddened by his death? Tian Meng's expression suddenly turned dark, his face slightly feral. Wang Tong was startled. Tian Gu, if you don't want to speak, never mind. I was just asking. No matter, Tian Meng said in a low voice. My parents died when I was young. I nearly starved to death before that old man found me. He taught me martial skills, I owe him gratitude, but he took me in like a parent. When I was 14, I married and had a son, life was happy. But when the boy was 6, the old man said my son had good bones and forced training. His brutal training was unbearable for most. If I hadn't endured hardship from childhood, I couldn't have survived his methods. I knew it was harsh and didn't want my son to suffer as I did. He should read and write, live peacefully. But the old man insisted. I had no choice and handed my son over. He trained my son for 3 years. His skill soared, but the suffering was unbearable. My son begged me to save him, but I asked Tu Qingshan several times, he refused. Once in endurance training, the old man forced my son to kill a few refugees from the Qin surname. My son refused, so he beat him brutally. A 9-year-old child couldn't withstand such iron fists. My son returned home, looking normal, but his life force had broken. He died that night in his sleep. My wife, grieving, cried daily, fell ill and soon died. Now she barely clings to life. Tian Meng patted Wang Tong's shoulder, his laughter was hollow. I owe the old man gratitude for teaching me, but I also hate him for taking my son. His death does not sadden me at all. Wang Tong, hidden sect people have no attachments. You are young. Before leaving the sect, don't think of family or career. We do bloody work, any day could be your last. Better to ruin yourself than others. Wang Tong shook his head in sigh. I didn't expect, Tian Gu, you had such a past. No wonder you feel so detached at Tu Qingshan's death. Tian Meng said gravely, if not for my wife's condition, I'd have killed Tu Qingshan already. Tian Gu, I'm rested enough now. Let's keep moving. We're less than 30 li from Mount Taibai. We can arrive before nightfall. Tian Meng nodded, said nothing, lifted his nearly breaking blade, and walked onward. Mountain paths are hard to travel. 130 li in total. It took exactly 6 days. At the same time, many nights were passed on the road. At dusk, near Mount Taibai, Qing Xiu hid behind a tree. From a god's view he covered a diameter of 2,000 meters. No one appeared behind in his view. Within 1,000 meters ahead in the fan-shaped view, at least 100 people. These over 100 people were scattered around a small wooden hut. Some were in grass nests. Some hid in trees. None of them was an exception. All vigilantly scanned the surroundings. They were on guard duty. Smoke curled outside the wooden hut. In front lay a clear stream with a bottom visible. 8 guards lingered around the wooden hut. They watched 8 directions ahead. Besides the 8 guards, there were 2 maidservants, 2 firekeepers, and an elderly woman with dignified appearance sitting in front of the hut, holding several small wooden dolls in her arms, appearing about 60 years old. Beside the elderly woman sat a handsome young man, about 18 or 19 years old, with extraordinarily enchanting looks. One could describe him with sword-like brows, star-like eyes, graceful and clear. The young man's temperament was out of this world. His white hand-embroidered clothes had no dust. A short sword inlaid with gems hung at his waist, about 2 chi long. Seeing this handsome youth, Qing Xiu's eyes brightened immediately. Not because of any romantic liking, but he guessed this handsome youth might be the young master of the hidden sect. Qing Xiu observed the surroundings a little, designed a set of action routes in his mind, then tied the goat to a small tree. He tore off a piece of cloth from his clothes and tied up the goat's mouth. Then he put the tiger cub into a sack, leaving only its head exposed. Doing this was, on one hand, to prevent the goat from bleeding. On the other hand, to prevent the tiger cub from running away. He patted the little tiger's head and softly spoke, "Yangya, be good, wait for my return." Yangya was the name Qing Xiu gave the tiger cub, because this cub was strange, it had not opened its eyes yet, and 2 small sharp teeth had grown on its upper jaw. Hence the name, Yangya. After doing all that, Qing Xiu began to move slowly along the action route in his mind. About half an hour later, dusk deepened. Qing Xiu had reached a distance of tens of meters in front of the small wooden hut. When Tian Meng and Wang Tong entered the sight of these people, a few of them surrounded and questioned their identities. After some negotiation, several sentries led Tian Meng and the other to the riverside to wash. Because the distance was close, Qing Xiu could hear Wang Tong's complaining voice, "This young master is something else. We traveled such a distant mountain path to deliver a message. Instead of seeing us immediately, he makes us bathe first. We were hungry and tired. Who still has strength to bathe?" Tian Meng softly spoke, "The young master likes cleanliness. He can neither stand his own dirtiness, nor see others dirty. He dislikes people with messy hair, filthy faces, unkempt clothes. Hurry and wash. After so many days, one more while won't hurt." Wang Tong said nothing more, and vigorously washed the dirt from his body. In front of the wooden hut, the elderly woman's spirit seemed somewhat abnormal. Holding the wooden dolls, as if coaxing children, she rocked them back and forth, murmuring in her mouth, "Big girl be good, oh, young small be good, Sanlang also good, mother is here, no one thinks to harm you all, no one thinks to." She nervously glared at the firekeepers. Her voice sharp as she said, "Is the food not prepared yet? My 10-odd children are hungry. Quickly prepare food. My children are starved. You wait to be beaten." The young master on one side softly comforted, "Qi Qin, the food will be ready soon. Brothers and sisters will not go hungry. Mother rests assured." The elderly woman held 3 wooden dolls tightly, freed one hand to place on the young master's head. Her look very maternal, "Mother's dear child is the most obedient. He never lies to mother." Jiang Huai squinted and smiled, gracefully raised his hand to tidy the messy hair on the elderly woman's head. Their voices were not loud, but because the surroundings were very quiet, Qing Xiu heard this dialogue clearly. 10+ children? Qing Xiu inwardly gasped, "Wow, this old woman really could give birth." After a while, Tian Meng and Wang Tong had scrubbed themselves clean. Wearing fresh clothes, they were led to in front of the wooden hut. Tian Meng clasped hands to Qing Huai and softly spoke, "Respect to the young master." Jiang Huai removed the elderly woman's hand from his head, slowly stood and asked, "Why only the 2 of you? Where are the others? Where is that Mr. Qing?" the old man specifically asked to see. Tian Meng lowered his head and said, "Originally the mission succeeded. But unfortunately that blind man." "Get to the point." Jiang Huai calmly waved his hand. Tian Meng said, "Although Mr. Qing is blind, his martial arts and knife skills are very strong. Except for the 2 of us, all others were killed by him." "Oh?" Jiang Huai coldly smiled and said, "A blind man killed all of you including Mr. Tu? Quite interesting. No wonder the old man lately kept thinking to see this high expert. He indeed has some ability." Tian Meng clasped hands and said, "Young master, although Wound had hands, but obtained the route to Bayou capital." Jiang Huai's face turned cold, he firmly said, "I do not want to hear where the road lies. I do not want to hear where the immortal is. I have no interest in the art of longevity. Tell the old man the rest yourself." Tian Meng showed a very surprised expression. Very soon Jiang Huai's expression returned to normal and he said, "This path is surely full of hardship and danger. If the old man wants immortality, let him go himself. I only want to support those who raised me into old age. Let those who treat me well have peaceful ends. I have no interest in other matters." The elderly woman suddenly started acting erratically. She glared ferociously at Tian Meng and Wang Tong, loudly said, "You also came to seize my children? Don't think so, you won't succeed. Huaya, run fast, they come to catch you. You run fast. The elderly woman shoved Jiang Huai's back, cried hysterically. Jiang Huai, expression unchanged. To Tian Meng and Wang Tong he said, leave now. At dawn I will send people. At the same time we will depart together to see the old man. Yes, young master. Tian Meng and Wang Tong were led away. Jiang Huai turned to support the elderly woman. Softly said, Mother, the bad people are already killed by me. Huaya will not be captured. Look, they're all dead. The elderly woman looked behind Jiang Huai. She did not see Tian Meng and Wang Tong there. She cried tears of joy. She raised her hand, touched Jiang Huai's cheek and sobbed, Great, great. My Huaya is not dead. Huaya is still here. But where is your sister? Where is your sister? Jiang Huai's face froze. A trace of pain appeared. The elderly woman suddenly pushed him away. Face full of despair as she cried, Jiang Huai, you beast. You cannot touch your sister. You cannot be together. You will suffer retribution. Release your sister. You cannot act like a beast. The elderly woman sat on the ground, despairingly crying until almost out of breath. In the night, Qing Xiu, hiding in a grass nest, saw the scene. He was thunderstruck, mouth agape. His face full of indignation. He clenched both fists and softly cursed, Damn, this beast doesn't even spare his own sister. Jiang Huai looked sorrowful. He gazed at the elderly woman and said, Mother, sister is not with me. You hid sister. You forgot after difficulty? The elderly woman suddenly silent. She freed one hand and patted her head, screeching, Yes, 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 I hid Yenner. Haha, I hid very hidden. You and your father cannot find Yenner. As she spoke, the elderly woman's face showed a proud expression. Jiang Huai visibly relaxed. To the firekeeper he said, It's dark. Is the food ready? Yes, young master, it's ready now. Should I serve to you and madam? Serve it. The firekeeper lifted the lid of the pot. Inside was shining white fragrant rice. Another large pot steamer had several porcelain plates, with steamed vegetables, steamed meat, steamed fish, steamed cakes. The fragrance overflowing. Qing Xiu could not help swallowing. Although he cared nothing for steamed dishes, the fragrant steamed rice was absolutely genuine. 2 servings of rice and a few plates of steamed dishes were brought to the small table outside the wooden hut. Jiang Huai said, Send the rest to the people below. Yes, young master. The firekeeper returned to the stove and began using a large copper bowl to scoop rice. Qing Xiu's face changed. Suddenly he sprang up, like a ghost, launched toward Jiang Huai and the mother and son pair. He ran madly, shouting angrily, Who dares touch my rice? I will kill his whole family. Staring at the rice he had longed for many days, about to be shared, could he not be anxious? This shout of a lifetime startled everyone around. Especially the elderly woman opposite Jiang Huai, the wooden dolls in her hands scattered everywhere. She screamed, hugged her head, face pale, crouched on the ground, mumbling, Brother, don't beat me, don't beat me. I obey, I'm very good, don't beat me. Jiang Huai's face changed. He saw a dark shadow, like a phantom, come to the dining table. One hand lifted the bowl of white rice. One sword staff rested at the back of the elderly woman's neck. This scene made Jiang Huai's face turn pale. He trembled with fear. Qing Xiu's hair and face were dirty, and his clothes were stained all over with dried blood. But seeing these people each clean and thinking about his own situation made him angrier and angrier. Qing Xiu said in fury, These 2 bowls of rice are mine. Whoever touches them, I'll be mad at them. The more he thought, the angrier he got. Why was he forced to cross mountain after mountain over more than a dozen days? Why was he stinking, while this young master was clean and being served by others? He didn't mind causing a massacre over 1 bowl of rice. At this moment, the 8 knife fighters outside the hut only then reacted to this sudden scene. Their faces changed wildly, and even their faces were full of fear. Sounds of drawn blades were non-stop. The 8 knife fighters first surrounded him. From their movements it could be seen that none of these 8 knife fighters were good people. Their toughness was no less than old blade zhang. Facing 8 old blade zhangs at the same time, Qing Xiu's chance of victory was almost 0. But he was not afraid, because he had hostages in his hands. He had observed for nearly half an hour. This old woman was the young master's mother, and the young master seemed particularly filial and caring to his mother. Holding her hostage was like a layer of protective talisman. Moreover, it was night now. Even if he couldn't beat these people, he was absolutely confident he could escape this place. A killing counterattack was not impossible. The guards stationed at a distance, except for a very few in remote positions who couldn't hear, many had heard the disturbance here. Some crawled out of grass nests, some jumped down from trees, quickly moving toward the wooden hut. Before Qing Xiu could speak, Jiang Huai trembled in panic and said in a quavering voice, Big brother beggar, let's talk. All the white rice here can be given to you. Please release my mother. Qing Xiu's face turned dark. He angrily shouted, Who is the beggar? Who is the beggar? Huh? You are the beggar. Your whole family are beggars. Jiang Huai hurriedly nodded, Okay, you are not the beggar. I am the beggar. My whole family are beggars. Please release my mother. At this moment, an incredible voice came from not far away, Is it the blind man? Young master, he is Qing Xiu. Tian Meng's face was full of shock, staring here in disbelief. Upon hearing this, Jiang Huai's face instantly turned deathly pale. As for the old woman, she was squatting on the ground holding her head, crying and wailing, but pressed by Qing Xiu's sword back, she could not move at all. Mr. Qing? Jiang Huai panicked and stammered, The one making trouble for you is my father. It has nothing to do with me and my mother. I did not send anyone to find you. It was entirely the old man acting alone. If you want revenge, you can go find him. My mother is innocent. Could you please let her go? Qing Xiu sneered and silently observed the 8 knife fighters advancing. He coldly spoke, Releasing your mother is fine, but all the people here must get the hell out of here. Otherwise. With a sudden force in his hand, the old woman was already shocked and collapsed to her knees. All right, don't be impulsive. Jiang Huai's expression changed, he rushed to one knife fighter and kicked him. He shouted, Get out. Quickly get out. Are you all deaf? Get out far away, get out of Mount Taibai, get out of Qinling. But young master, your safety. Jiang Huai roared, You useless trash, worthless. Others have already infiltrated to my face, do you still dare mention safety? With you protecting or without you protecting makes any difference. Get out, all of you. The 8 knife fighters all lowered their heads shamefully. Indeed, others had already crept up to his front, what difference does it make to have them protecting? Humiliation, it was absolute disgrace. The knife fighters exchanged glances. Some sort of unspoken eye communication. But there was no real strength. They can share looks, but what else can mouths do? One middle-aged knife fighter said in a low voice, Young master, the old sex young master only wanted us to be responsible for your safety. We don't concern ourselves with other people. As long as you are safe, whether the lady lives or dies has nothing to do with us. How dare? Jiang Huai roared angrily, suddenly drew the gem-inlaid short knife from his waist, and stabbed it through his own shoulder with a blade. This scene made everyone's face pale. Jiang Huai drew the knife, body trembling, glaring at the knife fighters. He suddenly placed the blade on his own neck and shouted, Now, I am not safe. All of you get out far away. If you dare to be bold again, I will make those old unkillable things thoroughly eliminated. The knife fighters grimaced. The middle-aged knife fighter hurriedly waved his hand, Retreat, withdraw, all withdraw. Inform everyone, pull back by a step. Jiang Huai cursed, Born of dogs lackeys, I told you to leave Mount Taibai. Are you deaf? The mid or middle-aged knife fighter helplessly said, First retreat, stay farther away. After young master is safe, we'll come back. Everyone began to retreat. Qing Xiu suddenly pointed at Tian Meng and Wang Tong and said, Have your people kill those two. Time limit 1 incense stick. For each breath they live, I will cut off one of your old mother's fingers. Tian Meng and Wang Tong immediately opened their mouths wide. In their hearts 10,000 horses galloped. They still play like this? Jiang Huai's face turned ghastly pale, his lips trembling. He suddenly pointed at Tian Meng and Wang Tong and said, Kill them. Now. Tian Meng's pupils shrank sharply. He grabbed Wang Tong beside him and ran. Right from the start full power, speed faster than a rabbit. In a blink, they disappeared into the darkness of the night. Qing Xiu muttered, Damn, they run pretty fast. Jiang Huai in panic, they escaped. I will now send people in pursuit. I will kill them no matter to the ends of the earth. But the incense stick time you gave was too short. Give me a night's time and I will bring their heads to you. Beg you not to harm my mother. Qing Xiu sheathed his knife, helped the old woman up from the ground. Then he bowed to Jiang Huai and said, I exploited your filial heart, truly sorry. But the situation was urgent. I had no choice. Now I return your mother to you. Please come with me. Jiang Huai breathed a sigh of relief. Without hesitation, expression of gratitude, Thank you for not harming my mother. I will go with you. Do with me whatever you want. At these words, Qing Xiu was rather impressed. A man capable of such filial heart, willing to exchange himself for his mother as hostage even if bad, couldn't be too bad. He couldn't help comparing himself. Jiang Huai beckoned to a female relative not far away and said, Yun Yang, send my mother back to the hut and take good care of her. After we depart, tomorrow morning send my mother to Yenmu study room, let Jiang Yener care for her. After completing the instructions, he took the short knife at his waist and casually tossed it aside. Then he tore off his hair ribbon and placed it on the table. Turning around, he offered both hands. "Mr. Qing, please." Qing Xiu didn't refuse either. Simply tied his 2 thumbs. This way of binding sometimes is tighter than tying wrists. Qing Xiu said no more, didn't care about being filthy, sat down and began to shovel rice. He devoured it ravenously. While eating, he also observed every movement of the distant people. Within the Godview coverage, no small action escaped his notice. Suddenly Qing Xiu's head tilted back. From beside came a whoosh and an arrow was shot into the wooden hut. The arrow shaft trembled violently. Qing Xiu continued eating. While eating he said, "Young master, some of your people aren't honest. Did they want to see me kill you mother and son pair with their own eyes? TSK, these people, they have rebel bones." Jiang Huai, astonished that he had dodged an arrow, couldn't speak. Now hearing this, he looked darkly toward the distance and in low voice said, "If anyone else fires a hidden arrow, I will kill everyone here." When the words fell, Jiang Huai angrily lifted his foot and kicked a solid wooden stool beneath into pieces. A cold sweat appeared at the corner of Qing Xiu's mouth. Suddenly he drew his sword and placed it at Jiang Huai's neck. He had seen it. Who would have thought this harmless seemingly same-aged noble young master was also a peerless expert? Jiang Huai said sincerely, "Mr. Qing, you worry too much. Because you didn't harm my mother, I will keep my word. Since I said I would go with you, I won't go back on my word. But I don't know where you intend to take me." Qing Xiu coldly said, "I will take you back to Chang'an. Use you as hostage to threaten your father. Afterwards he will not come to disturb me." A look of fear appeared on Jiang Huai's face. He shook his head wildly. "No, cannot. I absolutely cannot go with you to Chang'an." Qing Xiu sneered, "Are you playing the really sweet then suddenly regret game with me? Just said you would go with me, then you regret. Is this your so-called keeping word? You must be mocking me." Jiang Huai's face turned ugly. "I thought Mr. Qing was holding me only in order to leave here safely. I didn't expect you want to take me to Chang'an. Mr. Qing, I absolutely cannot go to Chang'an with you. You do not decide." Qing Xiu lifted his blind cane and heavily struck Jiang Huai on the back of the neck. Jiang Huai instantly saw black before his eyes and his body went limp and fell. Qing Xiu did not look back. Already full and drunk, he grabbed Jiang Huai and wildly ran in the opposite direction, disappearing like a line in the night. Qing Xiu, after leaving for a while, circled back and returned to the original hiding spot. He carried the cloth sack holding the tiger cub area over his body. One hand held Jiang Huai, the other held his blind staff and led the nanny goat back along the same route. Once he found a safe grass nest, he tightly bound the unconscious Jiang Huai and rested there for one night. The next morning at the break of day, Qing Xiu stretched and immediately used his God's view to observe Jiang Huai. The kid had already woken up. Now he stared at him with despairing, helpless eyes. Qing Xiu then removed the torn rag from his mouth. Because he was bound too uncomfortably, he had almost no sleep all night. His eyes were full of red veins. Jiang Huai took a deep breath and said helplessly, "Mr. Qing, you have taken me to Chang'an as a prisoner. The hidden sect will not let this go." "Oh." Qing Xiu replied lightly, "If they dare come looking for you, then slaughter them, let your father die out completely." Jiang Huai shook his head, "Killing me is useless. He will not die out." Qing Xiu asked, puzzled, "Isn't you the only son?" Jiang Huai looked painful and said, "I have a younger sister. She and I are dragon phoenix twins." Qing Xiu was surprised, "You mean that even if you die, your father would support your sister to become the sect's young master?" "No," Jiang Huai's expression was sad, "if I live, he will let me and my sister continue the Jiang family line. If I die, Jiang Lufeng will choose to continue the line with my sister." Qing Xiu asked, "Who is Jiang Lufeng?" Jiang Huai's face turned ugly, muscles twitching, he ground his teeth, "He is my father." Qing Xiu looked stunned, this news struck him deeply. "Damn." Qing Xiu couldn't help swearing, scalp tingling, "You mean if you die, Jiang Lufeng would have children with your sister?" Jiang Huai painfully closed his eyes, his despair beyond despair. Qing Xiu clicked his tongue, tisk tisk, so someone who denies kin really exists. How is this different from beasts? Even pervert Ji Diandai said, "You can't do it to me nor I to you. But for Jiang Lufeng, all is allowed." Jiang Huai opened his eyes, tone bitter, "In our Jiang family, those who continue the line generation after generation are always lunatics." It got worse with Jiang Lufeng. He could choose an aunt's daughter to continue the line, but he picked his own younger sister, my mother. "You must have hidden near the hut for a long time. You should have seen my mother is a lunatic, right?" Qing Xiu hummed and nodded. Jiang Huai sneered sadly, "Consanguineous children bring retribution. Every generation of our family had many malformed children. This is punishment from heaven." To produce perfect offspring, they must first bear some monsters. Those monsters are immediately executed. My mother, in her 20s, gave birth to 13 children, all malformed monsters. Each was secretly executed when born. She went mad from the blow. Jiang Lufeng had no hope. But as if heaven favored it, my sister and I were born a few months later. Thinking of Jiang Huai's mad mother, Qing Xiu felt pity. Regardless, Jiang Huai's mother was innocent. She was also a victim. Qing Xiu sighed, "Mr. Jiang, your family's frequent monsters are not punishment from heaven, but genetic issues." Genetic issues? Jiang Huai looked confused. How many generations has your family kept this inbreeding pattern? Jiang Huai thought and said, about 700 or 800 years, spanning over 20 generations. Qing Xiu chuckled, "No wonder so many deformed children. Let me explain about this. If both siblings carry diseases, their children have double the chance to inherit disease, and may also get mutations beyond hereditary ones, leukemia, intellectual disability, deformities, etc. In your family for over 20 generations, whether uncle-niece or brother-sister pairings, the inherited issues are massive. By your father's generation, it's almost impossible not to have deformities. No wonder your mother bore so many monsters." Jiang Huai half understood and nodded, "Probably, that's it." Qing Xiu continued.